Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Curation. I'm Polly, and joining me, as always, in my heavily medicated state, is Inquisitor 8.1. Quiz, how are you?
I'm not in your heavily medicated state.
Well, it might have come out that way, but if you think that's the worst of the confusion that I'm going to offer this stream, get ready, buddy.
Man, you asked if I was loaded before the stream. I'm assuming it was like tabs and stuff, but I think I might need to down a few to get on your level.
Things are a little woozy. It's fine. It's okay. I'll muddle through somehow. Jack, from Bad Comic Reviews, rounding out our triumvirate of awesome. How are you doing?
Same as usual. Awesome.
Nice. Piss and excellence. That's what I like to hear. And as everybody can see, we have a special guest joining us tonight. Not her first time, but definitely a special time. It's her birthday. None other than Chaos Eve. Eve, how are you on this special day?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I'm woozy and euphoric because of pseudoephedrine hydrochloride.
Polly's getting high on meth. Okay.
It's not meth. It's a precursor to meth. It's different.
It's junior meth.
Oh,
It's junior meth. No, but I went to a different.
Moving to Florida too.
I went to a different pharmacy than I usually go, and they had the instant release pseudoephedrine in the double milligram tablets. So yeah, fuck yeah, timed releases for pussies, man. So in any case, apologize for the late start. I try and whip Jack into shape, but there's only so much you can do. So
you can't tame me.
We'll blame that to the addict that ran into his telephone pole.
Yeah.
Fuck people, man.
Internet goes down for all sorts of reasons. No one can predict the driving habits of others.
Especially in stolen cars, but hey, whatever.
I was going to say, believe it or not, chat, it actually was Jack this time.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Well, at least the beginning part of it was. Anyway.
So, in any case, our thumbnail for today actually leads directly into a story that I wanted to talk about, and something that I'm going to have to explain to Inquisitor that he's wrong about.
Go ahead, prove me wrong. I'm just going to lean back like Steven Crowder.
There's no, it's not a question of proof. It's just a matter of helping you understand the error of your ways, In any case, what we have here is our thumbnail for those of you who haven't seen it on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's simple, but you can't go wrong with a classic Mary Jane. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that wasn't how she was always drawn. And before McFarlane started redrawing her, she was sexier, in my opinion.
Well, if anything, that's more pre-McFarlane than post-McFarlane. He drew her with like a mane of curly red hair down to her ass and always in lacy things and stuff. If anything, she's more the girl next door in this picture than in McFarlane's Playboy renderings. Gene would like to know what 7 of 9's cup size is. Hey, man, I'm a Trek nerd, but you got me on that one.
That's pretty big. I'll just say that, man. She could bludgeon some Borg to death with those things.
Well, let's see.
Are you looking it up now?
Sure.
I'd be willing to bet she's got laser guns in her nipples. She's a cyborg.
Well, Jerry Ryan played her, so let's see what Jerry Ryan's cup size is.
You can't trust those celebrity sites in regards to stuff like that.
John asked, Seth MacFarlane drew for Marvel? No, that would be Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, we're talking about Todd McFarlane that came in issue 298 of Amazing Spider-Man. And yeah, he started... I remember watching an interview with McFarlane when he's like, Mary Jane is supposed to be a model, which she absolutely was, but she's always drawn like, I don't know. She's always drawn like an exceptionally average girl was the point that he was getting across. And so I'm going to reimagine her as looking like this. That, I think, argument would have carried a little bit more weight if he didn't draw so many women in that way like that. And then don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. It just kind of undermines why he did it. Why not just say, I want to draw Mary Jane like this and leave it at that? Don't justify it, buddy.
Nah, I like the girl next door thing. Maybe she's a hand model. You don't know.
Well, good call. That's there's a lot of comic book characters that have the model as their excuse for, drawing them very in skimpy clothing, and like as extremely buxom beauties.
Right.
Fucking Starfire is the same way.
Well, since Mary Jane's a redhead, just give her a really nice ass and say that she's Brie Larson's butt double.
Yeah.
Oh,
But, it's
Time
funny
to
you
go
say that. I'm noticing a trend here is that they're all redheads. Just saying. Just saying.
Okay, so this weird thing popped up, like related to Mary Jane, as I was kind of like fucking around today, gathering all the stories that I wanted to cover. That really kind of confused me, and I looked into it for a little bit, and then very quickly gave up because there's only so far down pop culture merch rabbit holes that I'm willing to fall. Okay, so everybody knows what a Funko Pop is, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Why?
According to MovieWeb, and this is hardcore garbage tier, so garbage tier, in fact, that this is written by B. Alan Orange. And if you've ever watched,
B. Alan Orange,
if you've ever watched Ethan Van Sciver's streams, or videos rather, he intentionally, unintentionally beefs with B. Alan Orange and calls him his nemesis and shit. It's pretty funny. In any case, here's the 3 Funko Pop models. These are the what do you want to call them? Mock-ups, hand-painted mock-ups that they have of what they're going to offer. And it's like Far From Home Funko Pops includes Battle Ready MJ and Stealth Spider-Man. Apparently also selfie-taking Spider-Man on the far left there.
Is Battle Ready MJ like ready to do some social justice warrioring? What is she gonna do? Like report someone for looking at her weird?
I sincerely hope at some point in the movie that she's got a mace. Was there some point in the trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home that I missed where she had a battle mace?
No.
I take umbrage with that because far better characters had maces and in comics, and they were all from Thanagar.
Oh, but true. Yeah. Hawkman and such. Yeah, good call. But
Man-at-Arms.
Man-at-Arms, like from He-Man?
Yeah.
He had a battle mace?
Yeah. Did she ever have the toy?
No.
I'm old. God.
No, but I've seen the cartoon. Did
I
he ever,
had
did he
a
ever,
Man-at-Arms.
Did he ever have a spiked battle mace in the cartoon?
Mm-hmm.
Not the cartoon, I don't think.
Okay.
Mechanic had a mace too.
Rotten Corp says, wait, that's not a Sam Fisher lookalike? What am I missing here?
Sam Fisher is a character from Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell.
No, that's MJ. She's battle ready. Ready to fight the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Talking about
battle
Spider-Man.
mace.
And it's so within this story, it links to Funko Pops. Like I said, this is going to be like this the whole stream, guys. I apologize in advance, but I also take no responsibility at the same time. I'm blaming the medication. Anyway, I went over to Funko Pop's Twitter account, and here it is. Here's the picture of our new Funko Pop models, including a new MJ. And holy shit, the cancerous trash that people responded to it with. Like, there was the Funko Pop collectors that are like, hell yeah, I want 3, and so forth, right? And then everybody else was arguing back and forth. That's not real, not the real Mary Jane, blah, blah, blah. The response to Zendaya being cast as a Peter Parker love interest, or at least a friend of his through high school that's named MJ. And it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Is that Mary Jane or is it not? Because her character's name is Michelle Jones, I believe. And whatever. It just, whatever. And
Mary Sue Jones, baby.
Right. And it sort of goes all over the fucking place. The conversation back and forth where it's like, hey, white girl, red-haired Mary Jane is in the past. This is the new Mary Jane. Get up to date. Some people are arguing, and other people are like, I can't. Some people are like, I love the Latina Mary Jane, but why did they make her so light-skinned? And I'm like, you guys are all fucked. Every one of you. Like, it was one of the most cancerous threads I've read through in a good while. But there apparently is this whole beef over this fucking thing. As I was reading, like I said, I only wanted to go so far into it, but that the box itself, the Funko Pop mock-up box, says Mary Jane on the side of it, and people are like lit over that shit. Instead of it saying Zendaya starring as MJ. And I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little tickle out of that. It's like, yeah, you guys need to make a call. Are you like recasting the role with somebody who's not consistent with the lore, meaning not a red-haired white girl? Or are you trying to remake Mary Jane as Latina? If you're gonna do it, just jump all in. Don't go like kind of like halfway and we're not. You know what I mean?
Is Zendaya Latino?
No, she's black.
I don't know. Is she?
I think so.
I don't. Okay.
I think she's mixed race, like half white, half black.
I think
Alright.
she's half like Hispanic.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Half
I
Hispanic,
got that
half black.
impression.
So Miles Morales.
What?
Is that what MJ could stand for? Miles, I don't know, something?
The thing that I think is the most
Jimenez?
important takeaway this is not so much the specific background that the actress Zendaya has. It's more to come to realize that the only reason that Zendaya was in the film is that they wanted as diverse of a cast as humanly possible.
Of course.
Not really like actual diversity, like meaning what their backgrounds are. That doesn't matter as long as they appear diverse. You know what I mean? That's why you had the sheer range of diversity in that film to the point where it looked like a quest for diversity. It's like we're going to have white Peter Parker, but everybody else in the film is not going to be white, basically.
Yeah, and then they get together and summon Captain Planet.
Right. In any case, the idea of why Zendaya was in it at all is because she's got a good agent. Haven't you noticed that she's in everything and every garbage tier website is writing about her? And she's
No, I try to avoid pop culture as much as possible, like, other than comic books.
well, I'm just saying that she is. You can't turn around without tripping over a fucking Zendaya story. She's got a good agent and a good publicist, and they're promoting the ever-loving shit out of her, and they managed to get her in that movie. That's the reason she's in the movie more than we wanted her particularly. Like, you know what I mean? Somebody with her look. We want a girl who's this, that, and the third. No, it's just she's in everything now because of that. That's all I'm saying.
Now, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I would have sex with her, but I don't want her in a Spider-Man movie.
Do I need to start talking about how incredibly fine Liz is in that film? I don't understand why they would bring Zendaya. Well, wait a minute. See, I just said why. Because if they're going to have a love interest for her, they're not going to bring back the actually attractive woman who played his love interest in the last movie, Laura Harrier.
Well,
who's gorgeous as fuck. They're going to
Oh, shit, Jim cracked the code. Jim cracked the code. She's in everything because she signed up with Scientology.
You're kidding me. Zendaya is a Scientologist?
I don't know.
Is it
somebody go verify that. That's priceless. Please tell me the answer is yes.
I'm on it.
Thank you.
That would absolutely make my day if that were the case.
Zendaya SCIN.
See, here's the other, and I had to go look, right? Going to the Funko Pop's website, this is the Mary Jane that they have.
That looks like a Weasley from Potter.
And it's by the way, the only Mary Jane that they have. So what they're sending out, like I said, it really is like pre-order mock-ups that aren't even available yet. You got me.
Yep, that's Ginny Weasley. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't see anything confirming that.
Aw. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
I get all this stuff about other celebrities in Scientology, but nothing about her. Oh, there's a story about her and Tom Holland quietly dating.
Oh,
Well, good for him because she's, way better looking than I thought he would pull.
I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me if it were true. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Let's say it is or it isn't. I'm certainly not trying to follow these films the way that somebody would follow Twilight with are the main two actors that are having a romance on screen, having a romance off screen. I really couldn't fucking care less.
wait, Edwards Cullen had a love interest with a human piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Oh,
were
cool.
like engaged, and then she cheated on him.
Yeah.
Even I know this.
Man, there must be a lot of people in Hollywood that want to fuck pieces of wood.
Well, she was banging the director of the film she was working on. No.
Yeah, the
The splitters, man.
The Snow White movie.
But we know the way that it works. He was the director. She was the actress. He had power over her. So it's sexual assault technically, right?
Yes.
She was
I thought-
unable. Yeah. She was unable to consent. So he Me Too'd her.
Oh no, wait, that was the one about the prison thing. That was her mom directing it, so she put her in the movie.
See, Jim says I would fuck Kristen Stewart. Let me tell you something. When you look at it, in my opinion, it's just my take on it. When you look at Kristen Stewart in the first Twilight film, yeah, she's a very pretty girl. Of course. Like, what's not attractive about her? When you look at her now with the shaved head and claiming to be bisexual, and she's as skinny as Bella was in the film when she was supposed to be a walking skeleton because the whatever the fuck was going on wrong with her. Like, she's just gone straight downhill, Jim. Like, I mean, at a certain point, I'd agree with you, but not now.
I want to address something. I don't know what it is with celebrities and feeling like when they come out as gay or bisexual that they feel like they have to just like, especially the female ones, they have to make themselves more feminine or more masculine, going the like you know, the ones that are male become more feminine and the ones that are female become more masculine in their appearance. And it's like, why? Why do you feel like you have to do that? They are.
Yeah, look at Ellen
annoying.
Page. Her forehead got gigantic.
Well, you know, it's
Exactly.
funny. I don't think that that's necessarily the case, but for at least the ones that try to make it a point of activism, it might be.
Exactly.
Namely, people like Ellen Page. You know, when you got Ellen Page, you know, becoming this absolute lunatic, sitting right across from someone that it just so happens to be gay and not make it part of their life, you know, like Ellen DeGeneres, it's night and day difference between them. And I'm sorry, Jim, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I think Kristen Stewart is at best a 5. And I'd like my women to have a little bit more facial expressions than mild disinterest.
Now, see,
Just
this
saying.
is where we part ways, Quiz, because I would bang Kristen Stewart.
I wouldn't.
Partly
Not
because
with your
I'm a
dick.
fan of her, and partly because that bland face of disinterest,
Mm.
I'm okay with that. It's sort of like what I expect her O face would look like. Because she's always got her mouth kind of slack jaw, like, oh.
What?
So I'd be fine with it. Yeah, she can be stoned all she wants when we're banging. I'm fine with that. I'm going to do my business, and then I'm going to raid her fridge because she's got great munchies, no doubt. And then I'm going
Probably.
to be on my merry way. And yeah, she's a 5. I get that. But that's what we call an attainable. And it's like the C Squad at the strip club. You know, you go in on Wednesday morning, and you're like, oh, yeah, I could pull that.
They have really delicious breakfast, Polly. Jack.
I like how you blame
really
Polly for
delicious.
that one.
Yeah, Polly. God damn it, it's all your fault.
I tried to follow what you guys were saying there, but I'm going to reference again the medication I'm on.
Strip clubs have really good breakfast, Polly.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about.
I'm just saying.
Actually, what is it?
If you were at a strip club in Nebraska, you would see a lot of chicks that look like Kristen Stewart. That's all
Yeah,
I'm saying.
probably. Yeah.
And probably a few Jennifer Lawrences on their A team.
Oh God, Jennifer Lawrence. Ugh.
Okay. So before we get too far off of the Mary Jane thing, I okay, to wrap up the Zendaya story related to MJ.
Say it right.
Zendaya.
There you
Sto-
go.
story really, it's so pretentious. Like I said, she clearly has a publicist and an agent that are very interested in doing very particular things for her. Okay, well, if you want, you know, you've got that first name, and that could be a standalone name. You'll be like the new Beyonce, like that.
New Prince.
I didn't think
Yeah.
that is her first name, actually.
I thought it
I'm
was.
gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, go ahead, look it up. So now I'm curious. I want to know myself.
Zendaya Coleman.
Is that her name?
Yeah.
It is.
Zendaya Marie Stromer Coleman.
There it is.
Grief.
So it's like, go by the one name. We'll push the hell out of you. We'll activate all of our garbage tier media assets to write about you, even though Laura Harrier is the far more interesting, far more talented, and far more beautiful actress that's in the same film as you with 3 times as much screen time as you. Like, Laura Harrier, you need to get a better agent, because, you know, the girl who was the bitchy, sour moron in the background during the movie for a grand total of 10 minutes is getting more press than you. Think about that.
Relief.
But
She was
yeah,
comic relief.
and it's, I mean, she's the one who says that line. It's like, don't you want to go up in the Washington Monument? And she's like, I'm not going up in that thing that was built by slave labor. It's like, that's not true, is it? And looks over at the security guard and goes, okay, first of all, the security guard should have told her that, no, that's not true. And then second of all, the security guard or her teacher should have snapped back at her. Hey, you know that iPhone that you're typing your social justice messages on? Yeah. Do you think that that was built by people that were paid a fair wage? Or was it paid by penny a day people in China, you fucking hypocrite?
Child labor.
And then let's take a look at where them clothes of yours were made. Why don't you shut the fuck up and get on the elevator like the rest of us? Anyway.
Well, you're not allowed to take the stairs up. That's only for emergencies to go down.
I've been up in the Washington Monument. You take the elevator. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you don't take the stairs. That's the only way to go up. The elevator.
I'm sorry, what are we disagreeing on?
Nothing. I'm just.
Hey, Polly is high right now. Don't you fuck with him, Jack.
Perfect time to fuck with him.
I don't know. Usually when you take that tone with me, there's actually some point of disagreement. And I'm like, hold on.
We're fucking with you. Sorry. It was easy.
Fucking dick. All right. So there, that wraps up that thing. Laura Harrier's hot. Zendaya's agent is really good. Zendaya's a moron. And she's not really Mary Jane. Go fuck yourself. Now, Quiz, let's talk about your delusions.
My delusions, huh? I think you'll find. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can get some statistics.
No, hold on. Don't go pulling things up. It's fine. Let's just give people a taste of what we're gonna do in the future. What we're both gonna do is we're gonna go back and we're gonna read the Spider-Man story arc one more day over again, and we're gonna have it out.
Oh, you want to do a video?
Yeah, we'll just do a video,
okay.
or we'll do it like live one time. Fuck it.
No, you gotta do a video on it.
No, we'll do a video. We'll do a video. We have to do a video.
Quiz and I have a disagreement on whether the story arc One More Day, written by J. Michael Straczynski, is in fact good or is in fact trash. And when we both have our yay and nay positions pretty clearly delineated already.
Oh yes, yes we do.
Where I think it's good and he thinks it's trash. So we'll have that out. And I openly understand that I am not in the majority on this, but that's fine. I just think it's a badly misunderstood story arc. With that
by
said,
badly misunderstood, do you mean that people didn't understand that it was bad?
No, people misunderstood and thought it was bad.
No, don't see that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the all female Avengers, because that's a thing.
Please let it have America Chavez.
Well, it wouldn't be anything without it, would it? Comicbook.com.
Can we just call them the Sync Up Squad?
Oh my God. Brie Larson. So is this going to be an MCU thing?
Yeah. Well, okay. This is some trash. Like, this is just like, we need something to talk about. Brie Larson shot her stupid mouth off and said, I'm salty this whole stream, guys. I apologize, but I take no responsibility because of the medication. So just so you know, Brie Larson shoots her mouth off and says things, and it gives garbage tier retards on, well, they're not actually retards, I don't think. They might be, I don't know. We know that she wants to be interviewed by them because she's like,
well, yeah.
She's not ableist, right? She wants to, I don't know. Okay. Pretend I didn't say that. Look, Brie Larson on leading an all-female Avengers team. Is Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, ready to lead her own female Avengers team? Is this something that's actually going on? Who the fuck knows? Does this article tell you? Who the fuck knows? By the time you get to the end of it, it's just Brie Larson speculating on whether or not she'd like to be the leader of the team. Like, check it out. Is she ready to lead her own team? And she responds, duh.
Duh.
Seriously, DUH exclamation mark.
We're talking
Like,
about
oh my God, Polly.
what about our democratic system would be as who gets to be leader, even if there even is one. Maybe we can all coexist happily.
Yeah, it's a commune of Avengers.
I mean, it
Avengers
actually.
commune.
I mean, I feel like they have to elect me. We've been talking about this. Who's we?
Who? Yeah. Who's we?
Like, it would, like, if you think about it, like, let's say that all the male stars are eliminated, obviously, because you're talking about an all-female team. So who's left? It would be you and Black Widow and
Wasp.
Pepper Potts, I guess, if she, like, because she's,
If she keeps her superpowers.
well, her armor, like her Tony Stark armor. Oh, well,
She had those
you mean
powers at the end of 3, but we really didn't see anything else with that happen with that after that. So what the fuck?
You mean the extremist virus heat powers thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the idea of that is that it didn't stay. I thought that's what they had laid out in Iron Man 3. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So it'd be Pepper Potts with either super heat powers or Iron Man armor. I don't know. So anyway,
Scarlet
No,
Witch.
it would have to be a
Scarlet
black
Witch.
woman because that's Ironheart.
yeah, and Valkyrie. And so
They put-
apparently
they put
that's who she was
Angela
talking
in it?
to. Because remember, we're not just trying to name female superheroes in the MCU. We're talking about who Brie Larson could have been possibly talking to.
Probably her feminist book club.
That's
what I'm guessing.
And that's what we've been talking about. Like, it's like, you mean the script writers? Be more clear. So anyway, but if they nominated
her cats, Polly, she's talking to her cats.
But if they nominated me for that, of course I'm in. The proposed spin-off, proposed by who, where, what?
I could explain this as we go, okay, Polly? So I'm going to interrupt you slightly here. She was Skyping with Lord Meowington, and they came up with some great ideas.
We're just waiting
You
for
son
Lord
of a
Meowington
bitch.
to come in.
You know, I'm not in a state for this, man. I was like, okay, so she was Skyping with who? Kevin Feige? And it's like, Lord Meowington.
Well, Princess Weeks too. She's got to spread the
Well,
the misinformation campaign.
Yeah, I mean it's a group effort. They're workshopping it.
Okay, so here it is. The proposed spin-off by who, where, I need a fucking hyperlink for this, but they don't give you one. Larson, Avengers star Scarlett Johansson, Elizabeth Olsen. Someone help me out. Who's Elizabeth Olsen? Is she Agent...
Scarlet Witch.
Oh, that's Scarlet Witch. Well, what about Agent... What's her name?
Agent...
She doesn't count.
I don't remember her name. The cute blonde girl? I don't know.
Yeah. Peggy Carter's niece. Agent...
Oh, you're talking about Sparrow.
What's her name?
Agent 13.
Was it Sparrow? Wasn't it Sparrow?
Okay, Peggy Carter's niece. That's what we're talking
Mockingbird.
about.
Sorry,
Moving on.
Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy stars Zoe Saldana, Palm Foreign, and Karen Gillian. Thor star Tessa Thompson, and blah blah blah. Fucking hell. She's the captain, and Captain America leads the other Avengers, right? So maybe Captain Marvel would lead too. I really think so, Lily said. I think I'm being a bit old-fashioned and maybe a bit rigid about this, because if it's an all-female Avengers team, then sky's the limit. We can reinvent the wheel, she said. Jesus. Brie Larson, just stop talking. Every time you talk, woman. I mean, Jim, you're in chat. Are you still excited to see this movie, even after all the stuff that's been happening? It hasn't dulled your excitement at least a little. I mean, Jim said he's going to watch it 3 times. I don't know, man. You've got a fucking, I don't know, an energy for this that I don't see in other people. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Every time she talks, it seems like ticket sales drop just a little.
Well, we're going to get into what's going on with that. Jillian, who played Nebula previously, recounted how Larson emerged as a natural leader when bringing the idea of an all-female team to Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige after a snapshot of the assembled actresses went viral. Brie Larson was like, that's why you guys actually use the word like that often when you talk.
Brie Larson was like,
yeah, we should go up to Kevin Feige and tell him to make an all-female Marvel movie. So we marched up there in a group. a whole herd of us, a herd, huh? And said that to him. Jillian told IndieWire. He was like, "Yeah, that would be amazing."
And then he rolled his eyes. That would be amazing. Get out.
I mean, I think he saw what happened to Ghostbusters, and I think he saw what happened to Ocean's 8. The man's not stupid. And I think he's seen what happened during your press junket, Bree. I mean, oh my God. Okay. That led into the next story I wanted to cover, which is...
I don't know. I'm looking at this photo that they have here.
Oh, do you got it? Let's see.
That doesn't look like superheroes to me. Just saying.
That looks like a really hot gangbang.
So who is everybody there from left to right? It's really small on my screen because it's off on my smaller monitor here.
The second one is Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, this is Scarlett Johansson. That's Brie Larson.
Wow, Scarlett Johansson's like the shapeliest one there. I guess maybe because she's just wearing the tightest clothes.
Gross.
Yeah. That's Denai. She was Michonne in Walking Dead. She's a good actress. I like her, but I don't know any of the others. I don't care.
You know who's not there though is Evangeline Lilly.
Well, neither is what's her name? The one that played who Thor becomes when he becomes Femme Thor in the first Thor movie.
Oh, what's her face? Portman isn't in the movie.
Natalie Portman, yeah.
No, she's out of contract.
Who's second from the left in those really god awful striped pants?
That's Valkyrie.
Is it?
Yeah, Tessa Thompson.
God, that's okay. It's very small, but it just doesn't look like Tessa Thompson. Okay, and I'm assuming Brie Larson is third from the right. Is that her, the blonde? Or is
right here? That's Brie Larson.
Right here, where I can't see.
Right next to Scarlett Johansson.
So let me see if I get this straight. Brie Larson is actually capable of smiling.
Yeah.
Her face didn't bust right off.
Well, let's see.
I know I'm scared too.
Let's start with the holes in this.
Or it could be her. Could be the one that's standing here with a wine glass looking all righteously indignant. I don't know.
No, that's Joy. She's probably the most talented one in that group. And let's start with what Chaos just said, which was, let's start with the holes in this.
No, seriously. Let's start with the holes in these theories. Let's start from the left. These two, as far as if you haven't seen Avengers yet, plug your ears right now. 3, 2, 1. These two are known to be dead. This one is probably the most powerful one in the group with fucking Captain Marvel. She has no powers. She has no powers. She's mostly cyborg and is probably dead too. I don't know who this chick is. Who the fuck is that? Is that Evangeline Lilly? It's not Evangeline Lilly.
I don't think so. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is. But then the girl on the right over here is Mantis, and Mantis has like no combat capabilities. So you have like a bunch of martial arts chicks and Captain Marvel and dead people. Yeah. So that is Evangeline Lilly. Oh, she needs to go back to
Jim, are you yelling at me, calling me a moron and shit? I'm not kidding. It's on my smaller screen, which is only a 12-inch monitor, and there's 3 things up there, including chat. I'm not kidding when I say the picture's really small, man. Chill.
So the only ones that have superpowers are Captain Marvel, Mantis, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you can count Evangeline Lilly has superpowers with her suit. I'll even accept her suit.
That is the worst photo of Evangeline Lilly.
And then Karen Gillan's character has robot parts, but that's it. There's no superpowers in that group hardly.
Yeah, where's the hot Olsen girl?
Well,
right. Where is she at?
Maybe this is me with DC being the thing. But I don't see superpowers being something that's required. I mean, Batman kicks a whole lot of ass, and he doesn't have any superpowers at all. So,
but there's no variety really. And like I said, the two on the left, as far as we know, are dead. So
they actually listed Zoe Saldana in that, and I didn't even clue into that. Yeah, she's dead.
Which confirms my theory that she's not going to stay dead because they killed her too easily in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, honestly,
So Gamora's dead?
if they fix, yes, if they fix what Thanos did, then of course everything he did will be undone, right? So yeah, totally impossible. Yes, it's totally possible that she'll be brought back to life, right?
It's completely possible, and it's definitely going to happen. I have a feeling at least everyone who died is going to get a second shot at not dying. Now, it doesn't mean they won't still die again, but their deaths will be less instantaneous. They'll have a little more.
Let me show you this other article I brought up. Brie Larson brilliantly claps back at sexist trolls who want Captain Marvel to smile. What I find
frowning at them.
Well, what I found interesting about this article is it goes from kind of obnoxious to actually legit funny. For as long as we can remember, again, I've talked about this before. It's the style of subtle priming. We, us, our. For as long as we can remember in our collective experience. Do you know what I mean? It's a frustrating way. For as long as you can remember, for as long as some can remember, but all of us, they always speak on behalf of the entire group who happen to be reading this art. Anyway, for as long as we can remember, men have told women to smile. In 2015, Serena Williams brilliantly shut down a reporter who called her out for not smiling during a press conference post-match. Don't link to it or anything, but we're just going to take your word that it's brilliant.
You're having your picture taken. Smile, God damn it.
Yeah. In 2016, plenty of men insisted on telling Hillary Clinton if she wanted to win the presidential election, she had to cheer up. I actually don't remember anyone saying that, but they very well might have. Now, the sexist remark has been fired at actress Brie Larson as she takes on the highly anticipated superhero role of Captain Marvel. After her first trailer film was released, it's more than she doesn't just smile. I've read a lot of the press around it, and just to be fair, most of it is just she's wooden. It's not about just smiling. It's about more than that. It's like you don't look angry when you're flying around and doing stuff. When I see the movie, maybe she will. I'm just saying. The trailer is what everyone was busting balls over. In the trailer, she has the same look on her face. That's what everyone was saying. So I don't know if it's about deliberately smile. So anyway, who wants to hear about her brilliant clapback? Because it's kind of awesome. And by awesome,
I'm so stoked to hear about this brilliant clapback. Please tell me, Paul.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
My
She brilliantly shut down sexist comments by posting a story on Instagram, which is as follows. Breaking news, you can be you. That means you can smile or not. You can be strong in the ways you want to be. You can be who you are. If anyone tells you different, don't trust them. Oh, shots fired.
You know what she's convinced me?
Savage.
Now when I see women smiling, I'm going to look at them straight in the face and be like, what the fuck are you smiling about, bitch?
Wow. It's just like they overhype this and they're overplaying it and they're going to ruin ticket sales because they just can't just make a goddamn movie without it being a virtue signal.
Yep.
Do you want to see what's actually legit funny though?
What?
She sent out on Instagram a bunch of pictures that somebody else had made, putting nerdy ass smiles on the faces of the male superheroes from MCU films, and it's pretty funny, honestly. That's pretty good. I mean, you didn't have to put a maniacal crazy person smile on his face. It's pretty great though. I mean, that's funny as fuck.
What the hell?
That looked like Edwin Boyette right there.
Oh yeah. So, and then my favorite one, because everyone knows I'm a big fan of Chris Evans as Captain Marvel, and it's the best one.
In Captain America.
He's gonna poop.
That's pretty awesome.
I think it's the forehead creases.
It is. It's the eyebrow thing going on. Oh fuck! I laughed my ass off. I didn't expect to get legit humor out of this article, but it happened.
It was an accident,
and I don't know. Having seen the first Avenger a number of times, Chris Evans, yeah, he smiles during the film, but not a lot. What you see is grim determination on his face. And again,
you can't have him smiling all the time in that.
What's that?
Well, to be fair, the same could be argued. for Brie Larson's character of Captain Marvel. She's in the middle of a war against the Skrulls. I mean, we've seen that from the previews. So smiling all the time is kind of not going to be in character for her.
It was, but like I said, to be fair, what I saw was that you have a blank, stupefied expression on your face, Larson. That was the commentary. And anybody who said smile, it was like, it's because you have the same stupefied look on your face when you're red carpet standing a lot of the time too. And it's like, I really hope that's not the face you have through this whole film. Like, I hope you emote was, I think, the point. That's what I took away from it. Maybe I was misunderstanding.
Do you think they had to hire a smile double?
Well, maybe.
No, it's just an ADR.
I mean, man, excessive press coverage in current year is just really not a good thing. I think movie studios, music producers, etc., are going to learn that if you overhype something and over promote it, people just make use of that material and turn it into comedy. Do you know what I mean? Like, things can happen so fast, and word and stories can spread so quickly that it's just not a good idea to do stuff like that. Like, we're going to promote the hell out of this movie, and eventually people are like, you know what? Fuck you and your movie. And it can lead to stuff like, let's see here. Hold on, I've got the story somewhere. Which one is it? Ah, yes. As my potato catches up. Rotten Tomatoes and their backlash after the... So I don't know if you all heard about this. It's some people that DM'd me a whole bunch of stories, and I know, Jack, you DM'd me a story about this, I think. It's Rotten Tomatoes disables early user reviews after angry Captain Marvel backlash. This article is a total garbage tier article in an attempt to be like, yeah, it's the trolls, my God, it's the trolls. And it's based completely on a website cut thing, like you see in the center of it. It's not really original to them. They're just sort of repeating talking points from Rotten Tomatoes, but you can see that they try and spin it, and it doesn't help. Here we go. Captain Marvel was recently the target of, quote, review bombing. None of them were reviewing it. They were just clicking, I don't want to see the movie. That's all. Mm-hmm. And now the popular review website has made some changes to their website. Great writing. Some fans were initially mad. Some are still upset about comments made by Brie Larson about the film's upcoming press tour and decided to trash the user reviews section of the site. Did they? Okay. Well, Rotten Tomatoes has apparently had enough of the fake reviews, which isn't a bad thing. The system definitely needs some work. Whatever. I mean, I think they were just down-clicking. And this is what you call priming, as we talked about before, because they're showing up and bombing it. And then the actual quote that they take undermines that point, because it says, no, it's just they were clicking the don't want to see review. Anyway, starting this week, this is the quote from Rotten Tomatoes. We will launch the first of several phases of updates that will refresh and modernize our audience rating system. We're doing it to more accurately and authentically represent the voice of fans while protecting our data and public forums from bad actors. As of February 25th, we will no longer show the, quote, want to see percentage score for any movie during its pre-release period. Why, you might ask? We found that the want to see percentage score is oftentimes confused with the audience score percentage number. The audience score percentage, for those who haven't been following, is a percentage of all users who have rated the movie or TV show positively. That is, given it a star rating of 3.5 or higher, and is only shown once the movie or TV show is released. So your website has made it clear. Morons can't understand the difference. A bunch of garbage tier articles are misattributing the want to see score with, when it's clearly labeled as such, with an audience score. And so now you have to change your whole website. I don't buy it.
What kind of moron can't read the want to see?
That's what I'm saying. I think this is a great cover story. I'm sure it's true in some situations that people misunderstood the difference, but I think they changed it because people were saying they didn't want to see a Disney movie. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, didn't Twitter make the same excuse when they took away verifications for people, like the blue check mark? They're like, oh, well, we intended it to mean just this is the official Twitter of someone, but instead people are taking that to mean that it's a seal of approval from Twitter. So we're going to actually use it to mean that now and take it away from people we don't like.
That's exactly what I think. And, you know, as I said on Monkey in the Morning last night, two things can be true at the same time. It can be true that some journalists have, quote unquote, journalists have fucked that up, right? But it's also true that we don't want people, because of things that the stupid actress said during her press junket that pissed people off, being reflected on the movie score and possibly impacting the opening weekend box office. That's what's going on there. Is it a mere coincidence that when Amy Schumer's Netflix special, the Leather special, got bombed on, like in terms of the rating system, that Netflix completely changed the rating system following that? We don't want audience interaction at least in that way to make it so noticeable. And I think that's exactly what's going on here.
Frosted Glass said review streams are because of Brie Larson, they had to adjust for bad actors. They said it, not us.
He's got a point.
He's got a really good point.
The changes are not simply a reaction to, oh, gee, there's some noise created around certain movies, according to Fandango president Paul Yanover. Yes, some adjustments are aimed at what he calls noise reduction. When high-profile films such as Captain Marvel or Star Wars movies attract trolls with agendas. Holy fuck. Are you trying to tell me that Brie Larson doesn't have a painfully clear agenda and her agenda is being reacted to? But the reaction are bad actors with agendas, huh?
No, the reaction is, it's not legitimate because they're not falling in line.
Do you see what I mean? It's like, oh, well, these people, anyone with an agenda is a bad actor. It kind of seems, you're not just talking about the film. Yeah, but she's not talking about the film. Is that film actually going to be a, quote, feminist film? Is there going to be feminist messages through it? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. She certainly makes it sound like it's the case. She actually deliberately says so. When I talked to Marvel, they wanted to make this a feminist film, and so did I. Is it actually going to be such, other than the fact that it's got a female leading protagonist? We'll see, I guess. This, you know what I find interesting about this? Oh, hold on. Actually, I want to go to this one first.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that part of the thing is that it's the same thing that happened with, you mentioned the Ghostbusters movie earlier.
Right.
The Ghostbusters movie in and of itself wasn't a fantastic movie, but it wasn't like an overly socially justice movie and everything like that. It was just a movie. But the director, the actors, actresses in it all hyped it up to be something that it just really wasn't.
And so the damage control's taking off now, right? You have Brie Larson on the second leg or third leg, I think it is, of her press junket right now, promoting Captain Marvel as it comes up to its release date. And this is Fox 5, who is certainly like, Fox 5, that's not small. And what led me to this particular interview on YouTube, like the full length 15 or 14 minute interview, is the amount of people that quoted from it. Brie Larson clarifies her statements regarding white men interviewing her, etc. I don't have a problem with white men, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you talk about the patriarchy, you talk about white dudes and not wanting them around, and now they blah, blah, blah. It's like, Brie, you're backpedaling and damage control. At least that's how it looks to me, in my opinion. So they bring out the white guy who is just, look at this guy for a second and you draw your own conclusions as to what this guy is all about.
Soy milk.
Okay, well, it's funny you say that. If you look at the upvotes on this, it's only got 52,000 rather views. Okay, just take note of that number, 52,000 views on the original interview in its entirety. It has 836 upvotes and 1,700 downvotes.
Jeez.
And look at the comments underneath it they're pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. It's people came with their comedy here. It's like, she seems so fake. It's okay to be white. That's a white man, Brie. Watch out. Oh my God. Why is she letting that white man interview her? Get woke, go broke. Does he ejaculate soy milk? Like, it just goes. Just goes on and on. And there's hundreds of likes for every one of these fucking comments that all basically fall into the line of what it says here. I'm white, so I won't be watching. Very excited to not see this. Skipping this one to protect the feminist safe space.
No, did you watch?
They've not done themselves. They think they're doing themselves a favor by proclaiming how virtuous they are with this movie, and they're not. They're really just driving people who would have gone to see it away.
So right, and potentially, maybe it won't play out like that. I don't know. We'll have to see the box office returns after they come in. I mean, it's a giant Marvel movie. She didn't offend everyone in the world. I'm still going to go see it. Only after opening weekend am I going to go see it. But in any case, well, before we go to 52,000 views for the original video with the ratio that you saw. But let's take a look at the quartering talking about it. 500,000 views on his video.
Jesus.
Wow.
500,000.
I mean, oh my God, this guy swings above his weight class. It's incredible.
You might, I gotta say something to somebody in chat. You might want to plug your ears, H2O, because we're gonna be talking about the guy you don't like. So
yeah, well, it's just my point is whatever you think of Jeremy Hambly or his channel, the quartering. The point is, Captain Marvel does damage control, and disturbing comments that were left underneath the Captain Marvel movie have been exposed, and 500,000 views. Like, if you look up all the content that's talking about Captain Marvel and so on, I see why they're trying to do damage control, but it's kind of the cat's out the bag. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little late to be attempting to address this stuff through PR. You should have talked to Brie a while back and said, Brie, when you do interviews, perhaps you shouldn't bring up the patriarchy when your doorbell rings, which is literally what happened. I don't know if you've seen it, but she's in the middle of doing an interview and her doorbell rings, which I admit, that's got to suck. You know, you're recording and all of a sudden, ding dong. She gets up and she comes back, and when she sits back down, she said, oh, that was just the patriarchy. Like, Jesus, Brie.
Yeah. See, the thing about it is, I think that these are the old guard still trying to run things the way that they used to. And they don't realize that the majority of people, when they talk about movies now, they talk about them on the internet. And when this sort of thing happens, this just breeds into the actual fan base of the people who are actually going to go see your movie. So if you keep on doing these sorts of things and putting out interviews on TV, that's not going to help the prime audience, the people who are actually going to go, or who would have gone to go see that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they've alienated this large audience, and then trying to run damage control. They're just digging their grave even further.
Yeah. I will, just so we're not relentlessly beating up on the woman, let's let her talk for herself here. This is an article that Screen Geek garbage tier. Brie Larson clarifies her inclusive comments about Captain Marvel, about Captain Marvel press tour. I think he meant the Captain Marvel press tour. Anyway, but in an interview with Fox DC, so I mean, everybody's talking about that video itself. The video itself only had 52,000 views, but people talking about it on Quartering's channel alone are pulling in over 500,000. Mm-hmm. Which I found funny. But what she does say in it, to allow her to speak for herself, is, what I'm looking for is to bring more seats to the table. No one is getting their chair taken away. There's not less seats at the table. There's just more seats at the table.
Well, so that's not exactly true, though, is it? Because you can only do so many press interviews.
Yeah, it's... You know what's funny is people talk about her using her platform to promote something that she considers important, diversity and inclusivity. When she talked about starting a production company that deals with the smaller aspects of production that are still absolutely essential to production, prop masters, different things like that, right? She said, I noticed that there isn't a lot of inclusivity there, and it actually made sense what she was saying. Like, to give her the credit, it's like she can't jump into full-blown production like camera crews and everything like that because she doesn't know about all that yet. So why not start small? Start with the smaller aspects of production that are still absolutely required. And she wants it to be a really diverse hiring process to bring people on. You mean you're actually going to do something, Brie? because that's cool. Why didn't you talk about that from day one? You see what I'm saying? Like, why did you start talking about, like, on your press junket, no white guys, et cetera, et cetera? Why wouldn't you just promote this shit? Like, first of all, you're promoting your own company, your entrepreneurship. Why wouldn't you talk about that instead of
entrepreneurship? Is it part of the capitalist system, which is colonialist patriarchy?
See, the thing about it is that, this sounds more like damage control, Polly, and this is bad faith. She's trying to clarify something when what she said was straight up unmistakable. She said no white men, period. Anything else after that is just trying to walk back what she already has said. Fuck her.
And she went to a University of California professor to produce a study. No, someone working at the University of California. I'm not sure if the person was actually currently employed as an instructor or just worked at the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, whatever the fuck it was called. So it might just be a study group that's there. In any case, she went to somebody who could provide her with the data to back up that argument that the majority of the people who had done interviews with her in the past or overall happened to be white and male. And she claimed that study bared that out. I don't know. I didn't read the study. It very well might have. I'm amazed that that's a lot of energy, even if it was only one phone call that you did, to back up a point that really wasn't going to serve you in any way and only could be a disservice to you and the film's promotion. Again, what is so hard to understand about promoting the company that you yourself are trying to found and you want it to be really diverse and inclusive? I don't know. It just strikes me as the whole thing seems harebrained.
Well, no, it's her walking it back. It's her trying to run damage control. And that's the thing, is that, like, when you try to run damage control after you've done something bad or stupid, you can't get away from it. You can't. The only thing you can do is from that point forward, do everything in your power to not acknowledge or make worse the situation that got you there in the first place. Because here's the thing, okay? Here's the dirty little secret. Social justice doesn't forgive, okay?
Generally not, no.
Neither do the other people. We're not going to forgive, and we're not going to forget Brie Larson for this. Period. Any movie she makes in the after this, we're always going to bring that up. Just like Leslie Jones, everyone's always going to bring up Ghostbusters. Okay?
Yeah.
This is the reality, okay? This is the reason why I try not to be so negative on some of this stuff. But at the same time, negativity breeds negativity. When she says, no white men, I'm just sitting there and go, well, fuck it. That's racist and sexist, isn't it? Fuck you, lady. I mean,
okay.
there's only so much that you can take, man. And this whole thing needs to stop. Right? We need to stop this whole no white men, because that's just going to breed further negativity.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be inclusive by deliberately naming a given demographic that you want to exclude. That shit just don't work. It just doesn't work that way, in my opinion.
It's not inclusivity. That's not saying, hey, let's bring in everyone to the table, but, let's just make sure everyone has an equal share. That's saying, no, we don't want this particular person at the table because there's already too many, and we're going to start our own table over here that has everybody but this one person. That's just bullying someone back. That's not really fixing anything.
I don't know. This is starting to sound a lot like a colonialist thinking from what I'm hearing here. You need to decolonize that and hate on whitey like everyone else.
Well, they sound like hate facts, Jack?
Well, hold on. You spoke of colonialism and capitalism, which is an awesome segue into the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comic book.
Oh man, I had such mixed reactions when I found this article.
Is this going to be Red Sun, but for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
Well, she is part of the freshman force, and Superman didn't have a no. I'm going to say no. It probably was nowhere near as well written. Red Sun's awesome, by the way. If you guys haven't read it, it's a fantastic comic book.
Yeah,
Jamila says, "I want this comic."
for those ignorant about what Red Sun is, imagine a world where instead of Superman's baby stroller crib thing crash landing in the middle of Kansas, it crash lands in Siberia during the height of the Soviet Union.
Yeah. So that's it's such a like even the title is clever as fuck. Like Red Sun as in of red communism, but also like Red Sun as in like he gets his powers from a red sun under a yellow sun. It's brilliant.
Well,
like
the thing is we're saying Red Sun, but it's spelled S-O-N, not S-U-N. Yeah.
But he is a red son, isn't he? He's a son of the Soviet Union. Like even the title is great. Yeah, it's a really good graphic novel. If you haven't read it, well, it wasn't a graphic novel. It was just a prestige format, right?
Yeah, it's a prestige. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to Cortez and the comic book that she's getting
coming out in May.
I don't think that she's an idiot. I just think that she's inexperienced. But good Lord, this is a terrible idea.
Well, the sheer amount of promotion that she's getting, like I said, I think it's two things happening at the same time. It's she's not that smart when she's on camera and tends to say things that expose her inexperience, like you're saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's not a seasoned politician in that way. Add on to that, 90% of the media is shoving cameras and microphones in her face constantly, giving her the opportunity to reveal the sheer amount of her inexperience.
Yes.
It's just perfect storm of stupidity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I would take issue with what Quiz said because this is a fantastic idea. The cash grab potential on this is amazing. This person is a genius for coming up with this before we did.
Yeah. Well, let's see what CBR has to say about it. In office for less than 2 months, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is already making her presence felt throughout Washington, D.C. Now she will star in her own comic book. Devil's Due Comics has announced Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the Freshman Force. A one-shot special commemorative issue will be released on May 15th, featuring an all-star lineup of creators, including Jill Thompson from Scary Godmother and Jose Garibaldi from the Lego Movie 2. The issue will feature an anthology of short stories as the Congresswoman takes on the GOP and heroic satirical adventures. The variant cover, illustrated by Tim Seeley, is below, which is probably being blocked by my... Yes, it is. Good. It's no secret that AOC has become the official leader of the new school and is unofficial leader of the new school and has sparked life back into Washington. My God. And that's reflected.
Not for the better. I mean,
Pretty
she has,
sure
but
no one's paying attention to her.
Yeah.
No, I do think that she's getting a lot of, like Polly said, she can't go anywhere without people shoving microphones in her face.
Yeah, but
I think
that's if you're counting
accurate.
When they're that said sparked life back into Washington, you mean amongst the media companies that are there?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think it's you and me that had this conversation the other night that she's definitely a media darling. But as far as the other representatives and senators and stuff in Washington, most of them don't give a shit about her.
Well,
there's a reason she got shuffled off to small committees, and most freshman congressmen and women do not get put on major committees during their first term, especially if they have no experience whatsoever at policymaking.
Yeah.
They're not going to be put on deadly serious committees like, the House Oversight Committee on Intelligence or the Ways and Means Committee, nor the Judicial, and even if you are, you're put in the smallest of roles. You're, in any case, she's not a heavyweight. But let's go back to the comic here. And that's reflected on the reflected in the enthusiasm on display by the men and women contributing to this project. Devil's Due publisher Josh Blaylock observed, "Well, we don't all agree on everything. We share a common excitement for the breath of fresh air the new Congress brings. I hope there is as much a cathartic release for readers as it has been for us creators. A portion of the proceeds will go to support the USO and..." What does that say? RasesTexas.org? A nonprofit organization committed to providing legal services to immigrant families and refugees. Really? Why? She's not an immigrant. I don't. Okay. In any case, there it is. I kind of want a copy too. It's, you know what this reminded me of? The comic that the Marvel comic that has Spider-Man hanging upside down and giving the thumbs up with a giant Barack Obama image in the center of the comic. The comic that inexplicably has Justin Trudeau in it in a boxing ring. Like, are you noticing a consistency amongst the political people that make it into comic books? It kind of tells you something about the corporate culture in and amongst comic writers. Just food for thought.
Thought.
I need to go for a little bit, but I'll be back in a bit.
Oh, I see how it is. That's fine. It's fine.
Bye, Chaos.
I promise I'm coming back. You're going to go on for another hour and a half anyway.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm getting woozier, but yeah, by all means.
God, I do have work in the morning.
Whatever. This is more important.
I'll be back in a little bit.
All right.
Mwah.
So, no,
Love
thank
you
you.
guys.
Bye.
Now, I did want to talk about the, what was it? I totally lost track of where. Oh, yeah. Here's a super quick story. And it's so depressing. Like, I can't seem to win lately. Star Trek Discovery renewed for a third season. Fuck. I wanted it to fail miserably and fall on its face as a sign to not try that bullshit again. But no, we're going to be back for a third fucking season.
Dude,
I don't know.
That channel needs content.
Their streaming service?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Pretty desperately. I hear you. I mean, that's their tent pole for the entire streaming service. I get it. But I don't know. They've got a new showrunner, Michelle Paradise. Oh, yeah, it says right there in the headline. Yeah, so I've got hopes that it'll get better, but they're not high hopes, man.
Well, I guess the woman that is running, was it Paramount or Viacom, whatever it is, the original parent company, is trying to undo the separation that was caused by the previous owner, because it's his daughter or whatever, the guy that split up CBS and Viacom, Paramount, yeah,
and Paramount.
The guy that split those up. She wants to undo that and merge them back together. Because she likes Star Trek and sees it as a franchise. Midnight's Edge did a really good video on that. And from what I've seen of what she says in the press, she seems to want to kind of undo some of the shenanigans that are going on.
Yeah, I mean, given that it is that way, okay, hopefully that's what the showrunner and the CEO or current president, whatever their particular job title is, hopefully they're like-minded in that regard of, hey, look, this is a great franchise and it hasn't really done well. As a matter of fact, it's got nothing but bad press floating around on it. I mean, the Orville, a complete Star Trek ripoff series, is doing better and is being extolled by the Star Trek fan base, and it's not even actual Star Trek. Maybe we should produce actual Star Trek, because God knows for 2 seasons we haven't been. I don't know. We can always hope. I mean, this is what they got a Klingon looking like. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
Is that supposed to be a Klingon?
That's a Klingon, yes.
Right?
And it's admittedly, the Klingons changed between TOS and TNG, between the original series when they couldn't afford great makeup, and then to TNG, it's like, now we've got a huge budget, so let's make the Klingons look different. So they have changed in the past, and it's like, can they not change again? Sure, I guess. But when you do, when your showrunner gives interviews saying that we base the Klingons on Trump followers, and it's like the Klingons are, I'm not kidding. And it's like, oh, so who are the Klingons in this iteration of Star Trek? They're a bunch of religious fanatics that get together and hoop and holler in groups.
That's funny.
I mean, holy fuck, man. Okay. That's one way you can change a major element of that fictional universe, I guess.
Well, I just love the fact that the original series Klingons, they were just white guys with black skin paint on.
It's true.
Oh, you came so close to saying it.
What? Blackface?
They were blackface.
Well, kind of, but not really.
Yeah, well, they weren't supposed to be like full on black guys.
They weren't gollywogs or anything, but yeah.
What the hell's a gollywog?
You know what a gollywog is?
Really?
No.
You-
Oh yeah,
Google that real quick. Don't put that on screen.
They're essentially exactly what you think of when you think the worst, most offensive blackface stereotype.
As a doll for kids.
Yes.
Yes, Ryan Walters, Klingons are from Wakanda. Yeah, it's
Holy
I
shit!
don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty offensive. All right, all right. I hear you.
See, told you. You don't want that on the screen. Yeah, I think
Polly's black. It's fine.
it did address the Klingon difference in one of the Deep Space Nine episodes where they went back in time to the Trouble with Tribbles.
Yeah, the Trouble with Tribbles one. Yeah.
No, they addressed it. They kind of skirted it.
Yeah, but
they looked at Worf, and Worf was all like, "What? That's what we look like back then."
We don't like to talk about it or something.
Yeah, he said
like
we don't discuss it with outsiders. It just like how can we reference it but not reference it and just get the hell on? If you're a Star Trek nerd, and I know there's not as many of us as there used to be, it's sad. Thanks, Star Trek Discovery.
The STDs killed off the fans.
Yeah.
It's like syphilis.
In a 4-season two-parter of Star Trek Enterprise, they addressed it, and brilliantly. They didn't even need to. It's like, guy, it's clear that it was makeup budget that was the reason. You know what I mean? They simply couldn't afford great makeup back then. Yeah, well, they addressed it anyway and gave a legit, excellent, in-universe, canonical answer as to why they look different. It's pretty awesome. I mean, it's nothing they even had to touch on, and like I said, great writers can turn a shitty problem into a fantastic story, and that's why comic book writers suck these days. I'm sorry. It's true.
Well, even Star Trek: The Next Generation did an episode where they did like facial reconstruction to make somebody look like a Romulan.
Mm-hmm.
So I just assumed the Klingons had that same technology and made themselves look more human for interactions with the humans.
Nice. That was your like headcanon reason for it?
Yeah. it made perfect sense because it's like, oh, well, if Picard can look like a Romulan, then the Klingons probably just made themselves look more like humans.
Do you remember, I don't know, it's not a matter of spoilers. It's an old episode of Enterprise at this point, like 10 years old or more. Do you remember the augments? Like Khan Noonien Singh was one of the augments. Yeah. There was a eugenics war inside of the Star Trek universe on Earth where they tried to create like supermen, like superhumans through genetic manipulation. And Khan Singh, the antagonist, played by not Carl Malden. That's not Carl Malden. Ricardo Montalban.
Whoa, you're way off.
Yeah, I wasn't even close. Played by Ricardo Montalban in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and played by Benedict Cabbage Patch in Star Trek II, Fake Ass Khan, the movie. What was it called? What was the second
Into Darkness.
Into Darkness, Star Trek Into Darkness, yeah. With Benedict Cumberbatch inexplicably playing a guy named Khan Noonien Singh. All right, whatever.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Already looks like an alien, so it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that guy was a product of 20th century genetic manipulation that had, along with his crew of genetic manipulated followers. They're extremely dangerous because the idea inside of universe is that with superior abilities breeds superior ambition. They're all crazy. They're all sociopaths and wanted power and were violent as fuck. That's kind of the story of what happens when you genetically augment people. You can make them more powerful, but you also make them hyper ambitious and violent and sociopathic.
Yeah, you end up making everything amplified.
Yeah, and exactly. And the Klingons find out that the humans have done this, and they're like, there's no way we're going to allow the Klingons to sick super soldiers on us. So they stole a bunch of augment DNA and tried augmenting Klingon DNA. Now, the DNA that they stole was human DNA, and it spread through they got out of control and spread through the entire Klingon genome, making them all lose their ridges and look like humans until natural breeding generation after generation, 7 generations later, got their ridges came back. That's the explanation inside of Star Trek Enterprise.
So a little bit of like, oh, you don't have enough ridges. Time to abort that one.
Yeah. It's a 2-part story, and it actually worked out really well. That's what happens when you have high-paid, clever writers come up with in-universe solutions for sticky problems like that. It's like, yeah, you can turn a problem into an actual good storyline, and it really worked. So I did want to talk about this really confusing story that I myself don't know what's going on with it. Vic Mignogna is, of course, dealing with the fallout of hashtag Kick Vic. Short version of the story for those of you who don't know. Let's see if I can do it in 3 sentences. Ready?
Okay.
A whole bunch of anime fans got together on Twitter, and they tend to be the social justice-y type, and they hashtag Me Too'd a voice actor that does a lot of anime work named Vic Mignogna. A bunch of accusations came out about him being a creepy guy, getting very grabby with women, especially young convention attendees, and in some cases, outright assault on them. Are any of them true? Hey, that's kind of for the police to decide, but unfortunately, not a single one of his accusers has gone to the police ever, even though a number of the accusations date back years and years and years and years. There. So is he part of a giant, like, Twitter brigading smear campaign, or is he actually a creepy fuck? There's no way to know. Really, there's no way to know. The narrative as it's formed is listen and believe versus innocent until proven guilty. How's that for a short version?
That was way more than 3 sentences.
I tried. I know. Still, it's been going on. It's been going on for weeks.
I agree with Jim. 3 sentences. That's a whole lot of semicolons in your summary. I agree. Yeah. He's using proper grammar.
Those were the biggest compound sentences in the history of the world.
I was going old school. Have you ever read the preamble of the Declaration of Independence? You know, there's only like 2. You know, there's only like 2 sentences in all of that language, right?
Look, like, Dickens, you're not getting paid by the word.
Neither was Thomas Jefferson. It's perfectly fine.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, it wasn't just semicolons. There was plenty of end dashes in there too. All right, in any case, I tried. So let's see what's going. Oh, as an addendum to that, and this is parenthetical to the first part, so we're not really into other sentences. A bunch of people who think that Vic is being railroaded, put together a GoFundMe to pay for his legal fees should he choose to sue people that have publicly disparaged him, resulting in his contract with Funimation, the voice dubbing house that he was employed with, firing his ass. And so he, has actually contracted legal representation, and apparently by all outward signs is going to go about and suing. And the last time I checked, his GoFundMe was up to what, 75,000?
Something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, there's the background for those of you who don't know. And if you're in the future listening to this and you want to correct me or whatever the hell, by all means, in the
if we got something wrong, I say I haven't really
in the comments
well.
there. Fuck, so out of it today. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
You were saying?
I say I haven't been following it too well either. All I know is just what little I see from people like that Umbrella guy. It's we could have gotten something wrong. If you know more than we do, leave it in the comments.
Yeah, Ryan Walters says that it's nearly 75 grand. It's nearly 75 grand out of 100,000, and it got there fast, yo. Like it's pretty surprising. A bunch of people really do feel he's being railroaded and want him to have like proper legal defense or proper legal representation to pursue remedies to the fact that he got fired, not only because, as Corey points out, it wasn't only Funimation but also Rooster Teeth that fired him.
And he's been banned from a bunch of cons, which is where he makes most of his money.
That's a good point. Out of 19 cons that he was invited to, 18 of them withdrew their invites after all of this. And as you said, Jack, they only get paid so much for doing the voice acting. It's also going to cons that the majority of their money is coming from. So that's a major freaking hit to this guy to have this happen. considering that none of this has resulted in a single legal charge so far, it does come across as pretty fucking brutal.
Sorry,
H2O, is that true?
What's that?
H2O Happy Dude said, as someone who was his convention handler for 1 year at a local con, I personally never seen him do anything like that.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah, a lot of conflicting stories where it's like, if both of these things are true, this guy's like Jekyll and Hyde, man. So I'm having a hard time believing both of these are true, you know?
I'll say, and the thing about it is, if it were true, this is the reason why I am of the innocent until proven guilty sort of, side of things. If it were true, there would be so much evidence of it. I mean, think about Momo-kun for a second, right? How much footage is there of her running around groping cosplayers?
Yeah.
Okay? It would be everywhere if Vic Mignogna was doing this. But he hasn't been.
What I find really telling is, well, not telling, just like mind-blowing, is how quickly a lot of his fellow voice actors turned on his ass.
Yeah.
Like some of his largest detractors online are his former colleagues. And not really even presenting evidence a lot of the time, just saying, look at the accusations, this guy's scum. What's her name? Jamie Marchi saying, I want his balls in his job. I mean, holy shit.
Well, we all know that's how virtue signaling works.
Which lends credence to the idea of brigading alone, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. From what I've seen of all the people that are on both sides of him, it's my impression that he's just one of those people that, like, gets right up in your personal space, like, kind of puts his arm around you, and some people aren't comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't strike me as him being intentionally creepy. He just has boundary issues. Like, you meet that stereotypical aunt or uncle that wants to give you a kiss on the cheek or hug you. But it doesn't sound like it was anything inappropriate. It was just somebody that's right up in your personal space bubble.
Yeah. I real quick, Johnny Hillcat said, did you sleep, Polydub? You seem to be mixing your words again. I did sleep. I know, like previously I'd done a stream when I was like, I had been awake for like 23 hours and I was out of it. For those of you who just arrived and wondering why I'm out of it, taking a hell of a lot of pseudoephedrine and I am woozy as hell. But the stream must go on, damn it. So here I am.
I say, it seems to me though, like all the VO artists, turning on them, it just seems like they're smelling blood in the water. This is the sort of thing that you see a lot of like industry professionals do, because number one, it with a voice actor out of the on the outs, they'll have more opportunity to get people that they prefer to work with in those positions. If they're a woman, or if they're a man, they have more voice acting opportunities by having him out on the outs, if you know what I mean.
That's something that I've been following in and of this story. For those, Nick Rakita's streaming about it a lot. So's Umbrella Guy and Yellow Flash, and their coverage is just fucking top notch of this stuff. The one thing that I find very telling is the person that originated the #KickVic hashtag herself, Mars Girl. One of her DMs was leaked by the person she was sending it to, or the group chat that it was in, or the group DM that it was in, saying, and once we get this all cleared up, we're going to move on to the next one. And it's like, what? So, I mean, how do you not come across as malicious saying something like that? That what you were doing was not just putting your voice to something, but actually out on a malicious mission to bring this guy down.
Yeah.
I mean, malicious behavior is a crucial element in public defamation, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this could be some kind of personal vendetta too. Like maybe they just don't get along and she's looking for a reason to get even with him for some other slight, and this is how she wants to do it. I mean, it really sounds like there's just some either jealousy or hatred of this guy around. I don't know, but I haven't seen anything that convinces me that he's a giant perv. And the fact that nobody's gone to the cops or anything, I don't know. I think he's probably going to sue some people over this.
It certainly looks that way from everything that I've been seeing. I know that a whole bunch of the people on Twitter that are hashtag kick Vickers, so to speak, that are very much in favor of like getting this guy the hell out of the industry.
Kick Vickers.
Yeah, I know.
A bunch of priests getting kicked in England.
That's good. That they are. You broke my train of thought. What the hell was I saying?
Sorry. Just pictured people going up like, "Oi, kick Vickers!" Bunch of stalker hooligans.
That's great. Okay, so there does seem to be a bunch of brigading and a bunch of talk that no, there's no way this guy's going to sue. On what basis could he sue? All we're doing is telling our truths, you know, that kind of language. And it's the only people who seem to think that he's not going to go scorched earth legally are the people who might very well find themselves the target of such litigation. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah. Rekieta Law's video on this, because he's a real lawyer, was really interesting, and he was talking about requirements for lawsuit and stuff like that. And it sounds like from what he mentioned the legal team's name, and I looked into them a little bit on the internets. They have a pretty good reputation. The ones that Vic hired. So they're probably going to sue some people, or at least go for some settlements.
Yeah, settlements are brutal. I mean, if you've never been through a legal proceeding, just simply securing an attorney and having the attorney familiarize themselves with your case and your situation, that alone runs into hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
I am really fond of the idea of the real world crashing in on the Twitterverse, in the sense that like there's such a seeming culture of adoring retweets and likes so much that people are willing to go so far with it to besmirch, destroy, and ruin a guy's entire livelihood for the sake of getting retweets and likes.
These are very serious charges that could ruin his reputation and career. It's not just like you lost a job. I mean, this guy will never work in the industry again if they pull this off. Yeah. And that's pretty horrific. If he's innocent, especially.
And Yellow Flash is a YouTuber who's got a great channel if you haven't checked it out. And his shtick, like, just to give you an example of the kind of stuff that goes on Twitter in terms of attempting to shut people up or ruin the reputation of certain people that are asking what the fuck is going on here? Where are all these people coming from? Especially when their stories don't make sense. They're full of blazing inconsistencies, or are so deliberately vague that nobody could ever pin it down to a given time or place. You know what I mean? All sorts of problems with them, right? Yellow Flash is one of the people who points this out. And his shtick on his channel is to do comic reviews and talk about comics and stuff. And comics that he read and will never read again, he will cut the comic in half with a knife. That was something he did. It's just his channel shtick. They seized on this on Twitter and turned it into he's stabbing female characters because of his misogyny. And the amount of times that was repeated, and like here he is, and like a clip turned into a GIF of Yellow Flash stabbing a female character. It's like he stabbed lots of, like, he didn't stab the comic, he's cutting the comic by stabbing through the middle and then cutting it up and then down. And I'm not trying to speak on the guy's behalf. It's just like, haven't you watched any of his videos? It's a shtick. I don't know what else to call it. And of all of the, Mars Girl herself comes from, if you don't know, the former That Guy with the Glasses channel, now Channel Awesome, and all of the people that are coming out on it, including Obscurus Lupa, who's speaking up on her behalf and on the side of Kick Vic, and Spoonie came out from whatever fucking rock he's been hiding under to speak up on behalf of it.
No.
Yeah. And
he's supposed to be making a movie or something?
For about 4 years now. And Linkara, of all people, came out. It's like, Linkara, your comic review channel for years has been called Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn, where you literally burn comics you don't like. You've got a similar shtick. What the fuck are you talking about, taking an issue with this guy cutting up comics when you burn them?
Yeah.
Is that the fedora tipper guy that is the inspiration for those chubby memes?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Linkara is the inspiration for those memes?
I wouldn't.
the ones with like,
Yeah. No, that's absolutely Linkara. Yes.
I know the things because that's
Yeah.
his style. It's like, you've learned your lesson, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like these guys would have done better. Like not just guys, like men. I mean, like Obscurus Lupa too. Like, just stay the fuck out of it. What the fuck are you doing? It's a rat nest of accusations and fuckery that's destroyed a guy's life. The fuck are you doing weighing in on it? I don't
understand. I mean, I haven't seen anything that was vastly inappropriate from what I've seen. They haven't produced enough evidence to like say, okay, this looks really, really bad. There's some stuff that's like, okay, he probably shouldn't have done that. Like, don't go up and put your arm around people. But some of the stuff they're throwing out there is just so weak.
Well, the two things about that. One, I agree with you completely, because when you watch footage of this guy, Nick Mignogna, at Vic, God damn it, why do I keep calling him Nick? Vic Mignogna. Yeah. He is absolutely a guy who's not really into personal space, man.
Yeah.
But with guys too, old men, little kids. He's like he'll grab a kid and like, how like you'll hold a kid up to your head level to take a picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy's just not into personal space. And I've met people like this in my lifetime, but that being interpreted in a predatory way is fucked. I remember the one video that I watched of a girl put it up and said, this is an example of how creepy Vic can be. And it's like, okay, yeah. And here's the whole video that somebody else posted that you edited, because as soon as he leans into you, and it is a little weird, and he talks into the mic very close to you, and it's like, wow, that looks creepy. Until you see him turn to the 50-year-old man standing next to you and does the same damn thing to him.
Yeah, we used to call them close talkers. They get right up next to you, and like you can almost feel their nose hairs tickling your face because they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" Well, I was doing a lot better before you get all up in my space, dude.
It's
just like this, Jack.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Eve returns.
I'm back.
So all of this does relate to this story that kind of came out of this from Bounding into Comics, and I didn't even get what they were talking about. So let's find out together, shall we? The Gender Equality Task Force. We'd like to hear from you. The Animation Guild and Fix the Broken Staircase launches submission-based #MeToo initiatives. Vic Mignogna and Todd Habercorn targeted. All right. This sounds oddly vigilante-like. I don't know. In the wake of the #MeToo movement, companies and businesses across the board have made concerted efforts to address the safety of their employees and take punitive action against employees who have engaged in sexual misconduct and sexist practices. So #MeToo has moved to perceived sexism as well. All right. Well, the movement has yielded a multitude of positive results, such as the incarceration of convicted child molester and former USA gymnastics coach Larry Nassar, or Terry Crews speaking out on the often ignored issue of male sexual assault. Yeah, male sexual assault has been a total focus of it, because one of the founders of #MeToo was outed herself as somebody who was in a power position over a youthful singer, taking pictures with him in bed when he was under 18. Not really a big problem for her. She just turned around and said, no, he was the one who accosted me.
See, she should have just said that she was a high school English teacher at the time.
I'm trying to remember her first name. Argento. What's her first name?
Asia Argento.
Asia Argento. Yeah.
She just turned around and said, no, the teenage boy is the one who sexually assaulted me. And everyone's like, oh, you poor baby. And it's just like...
Like, I do get, and, props to Terry Crews for coming out, because that could be like seen as emasculating, and he didn't give a fuck. He's like, what are you kidding me? There's people that will grab you up in Hollywood. As a man, you can be a victim of it too. True indeed, that's been a minor part of the story, but let's be truthful. A very minor part of the story, and what has it really led to other than...
The story got swept under the rug.
That's what I'm saying.
Disappeared.
Yeah.
In any case, they go on here. In a February newsletter issued to members, the Animation Guild, which is IATSE Local 839, announced the creation of the Gender Equality Task Force, which was, quote, formed in order to take a closer look at issues of inequality within animation as it relates to gender. Okay, wait a minute. You went from sexual assault all the way to inequality. Did you notice that slide, whatever you want to call it? Okay. The newsletter promotes a survey being conducted by the Gender Equality Task Force titled Gender Equality in Animation Study, which lists its aim as just 27% of the Animations Guild membership are women, compared to roughly 60% of animation students graduating from schools like Cal Arts. This is a huge discrepancy. So why are there so many women in animation programs at the college level and comparatively very few working in the industry? A few of us have assembled a team and have tasked ourselves with a job of gathering data on the subject. We hope to build a comprehensive study, which we can distribute and get hard numbers on gender inequality in the animation industry. Jack, stop laughing.
No, this is me. Oh. I can tell you exactly what fucking happened because I am a fucking art student. I went to a college where I learned animation. My peers were animators. Yes, there was a large discrepancy in gender when it came to men and women that went into my field. There were a lot more women. You know what happened? You know where this 60% to the 27% that actually work go?
Shoot.
Graphic design positions, and they become mothers.
Oh, that's
Problem
so
solved.
sexist.
Go fuck yourself.
Don't talk to Jack like that.
Oh, God. Reading shit like this really pisses me off.
I don't know what I did.
Fair enough. They go. A lot of them go into graphic design. I didn't see that. I mean, okay, fair enough. Makes sense.
Graphic design, is that a job or a hobby?
No, it's a job, man. The graphic
a
designers
job,
are needed.
Say Jack Gunsky points out, said, for the love of God, there are tons of women in voice acting. They basically play all the women and all the children, and a lot of the men too. Like, unless they have like a deep baritone voice, like they usually get female voice actors because they have such a range, especially when it comes to things like Japanese animation and dubbing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The task force survey features 6 mandatory questions: name, email address, your story, whether the incident occurred in California. Hold on. I skipped ahead. Like, let's just see what it says in this above paragraph from their newsletter. The task force.
I can tell you why it's in California. This is a local union. It's a local workers union in California.
Yeah, 839, and it's just to their membership. I'm wondering, to work in animation in the animation industry in Southern California, whether or not it works like other unions do, where you got to be part of the Screen Actors Guild. You got to be part of the Directors Guild. You know what I mean? Like, where's your SAG card if you want to act? Is it like that in animation? I don't know.
I'm fairly certain in California it probably is. There's a good reason why there's not a lot of animation being produced in California anymore. They're all being produced in fucking Georgia.
According to their newsletter, part of the bigger picture we'd like to build includes personal experiences of anyone who has felt discriminated against based on their gender. Maybe you've witnessed a member of the opposite sex with less experience being promoted ahead of you, or discovered you make less than your peers of a different gender doing the same job. Or maybe you've been told your work is too, quote, feminine. Maybe you feel left out of the industry for some reason. Maybe you never quite got your foot in the door. Any story you're comfortable sharing. This is perceived grievance cataloging.
Okay, and the thing about it is the most popular and pushed cartoons produced nowadays are all produced by fucking women. They're all coming out of Cal Arts, and they're all getting promoted well above men. Are they feminine? Is Steven Universe feminine? Yes! Yes, it is!
In early January, an anonymous submission-based database of individuals, mostly male, was created following the accusations of sexual impropriety lobbed at voice actor Vic Mignogna. I keep saying his name's like there's an L in there, but I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. So moving on. The publicly available database catalogs reports of sexual misconduct and harassment concerning members of various animation communities. So like I said, this is perceived grievance and evidenceless based accusations that's publicly available. Jesus Christ. This is denouncemancentral.com. Holy fuck.
Denouncement of the patriarchy, maybe.
Son of a bitch. Oh, all right, that's just frightening, man. I don't know.
And the thing about it is, I want to bring this little bit here. I think that this is salient. Okay, they have whole paragraphs dedicated to fucking gender issues within animation, but then tenuously at best bring up Vic Mignogna, whatever, however you pronounce his last fucking name.
Vic
okay?
M.
Yeah, Vic M. There's no connection there. Really, at all. I mean, everything else they're talking about before are talking about things like fucking pay gap and all this feminist bullshit. And then they go, oh, well, you know, we have to throw in a good measure of sexual assault in there too, because we need to have a case.
But that's the odd thing. They are conflating, mixing, and seemingly deliberately trying to blur perceptions of pay gap and someone getting promoted ahead of you, which is someone getting promoted ahead of you or not being able to get your foot in the door of the industry is largely perceptual, or can be. And you're cataloging a database of this. Like, I mean, let's say there's 20 positions open for voice actors and the vast majority of them are men. Okay, that's a situation where you can make a case of like, it's tough to get your foot in the door. Gotcha. You're talking about like people being promoted ahead of you based on what? What's interesting is the most troubling aspect, it says here, of the broken staircase, which is another group for this, is in fact that the database requires no qualifying criteria. Individuals can submit an anonymous story without evidence and have the accused name, the accused names added to a list of offenders simply by filling out the provided survey form. According to the site's own FAQ section, do I have to send you receipts / screen caps? Nope! ! But we would ask that you consider going public with documentation, either written accounts or screen caps. A written account, how's that different from their typed account? Anyway.
No, it's not, you see, Polly, once you declare someone a witch, they're a witch. And you have to destroy them. That's how this works.
Oh my god, this is getting me so angry.
It's because predators use the same strategies over and over, and it's incredibly clarifying for survivors to recognize the patterns with which they are victimized.
And you don't think that there would be a single person trying to get an edge up in competition who will use and abuse this sort of system to get a person that's doing better than them ousted from an industry on just your accusation alone? You don't know artists very well, fucking do you? Have you ever been to a critique? That shit is like blood in the water with piranhas.
Now, you see, we have to listen and believe. That's why I believe Jesse Smollett.
I don't understand this. It's like this is mind-blowing the way like you're actually willing to say this. The accused name is added to a list of offenders. Like, no, offenders is like, okay, it's not strictly a legal term. It's somebody who offered offense, but I don't know. That's fucking frightening that you're attempting to use language that's often used in judicial proceedings.
They had their
the offense because it's like, I saw the witch down by the campfire dancing with her sister and, you know, summoning the devil. I said I saw it, therefore they're a witch.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need evidence anymore, Polly. That's colonialist thinking. We're taking that out of the equation because it's more important to go by how we felt.
Well, I'll tell you this much. Because of this, that's just cemented it. I'm never moving to California, ever.
Well, get this. The list currently includes 80 people.
80 people that are going to sue them.
Dragon Ball Super Broly voice actor Vic Mignogna has been added to the list, as well as Fairy Tale voice actor Todd Habercorn.
Oh my god!
Fuck.
Fuck California, man. Fuck
Jim Haley says I could toast marshmallows off the heap coming off Quiz right now.
It's been a while since Quiz got this angry.
Oh, man.
I could understand it because it's in animation and that's your background. I mean, this is Kyle. I mean, it's like, why don't any of these, quote, victims report this shit to the police? Right? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, it's because it's past the statute of limitations in their particular jurisdiction or what have you. Yeah, but
Or
why
they're
didn't
lying.
why didn't, or you're lying or exaggerating or any number of other fucking things. Like, you want to stop the person, see them fucking charged.
Well, that's the thing that kills me is that the hashtag Me Too thing. The biggest flaw with that is that you're tried in the court of public opinion, not in a court of law. If you've actually committed a crime, there's evidence gathering, there's hearings, there's witness statements, and this is all done above board. And if anybody's lying or doing something illegal, they get caught up in it. So people are very careful to not say things that are false under oath, because if they get caught in it, they can end up in jail themselves.
Yep. And it's illegal
Which is
to
why
lie
we
to
do
the
it that
cops.
way. Yeah.
Perjury.
So
to lie to a cop? No. It's illegal to lie under oath.
No, it's
This-
illegal to lie to the police in most states.
it is, yeah, sworn testimony, lying to the police, because you're
Oh no, I'm thinking it the other way around. Sorry, it's not illegal for them to lie to you.
Yeah, correct.
this story is unfolding, and a number of people that are very much hashtag kick Vic people were questioning whether or not Vic was even going to obtain legal representation, that the GoFundMe for Vic's legal fees that was started by Nick Rakita was a fraud, and in what's his name, DC, what's that voice actor's name? Doesn't matter. One of the people, the hangers on to this story, claimed it's like, yeah, you're just helping Nick Rakita buy a fucking Tesla. And other hangers on to the story, I can't think of all of their names right now because I'm medicated again. Apologies. I'm sure people will let me know in chat or in the comment section later. The idea that they're claiming is like, this is just a scam on Nick Rakita's part to pull together a whole bunch of money, when he had clearly laid out in his video that, look, it's being put into a trust that I don't even have personal access to. And if I were to access that money and it were to touch any account associated with me, I would be putting my own legal career at great risk by getting disbarred for fucking around like that with a trust.
Well,
I'm not going to do that. It didn't stop them from continuing to tweet about it day after day, that this guy's full of shit. Vic doesn't even have a lawyer. Vic announces he's got a lawyer, and it's like, oh, well, Vic only did that because he was being pressured into it. It's like, you guys look like people that are scrambling right now. You seem guilty as fuck.
Well, and the money is now in the hands of the lawyers, because in Texas, it goes into like a trust, some kind of escrow account that's handled by the lawyers to pay for legal fees as they go. It sounds somewhat complicated, but it's not even in Rakita's hands anymore. It's all handled by these lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wild fucking story.
It's crazy.
It was only a few days ago that Vic came out and said, yeah, I do have a lawyer. This is the firm that they're from, and this is the particular lawyer who's going to be handling the case. It didn't shut anybody up. So the story's going to continue to unfold. We'll talk about it as it does. I really think there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes discussion. If my guess is right, there's not going to be a lot of news in regards to it, because they're going to be talking to people's attorneys, and Vic's attorneys are not going to be broadcasting what those negotiations are like, because they're going to end up in settlements because, hey, here's the legal documents that we've drafted. We haven't filed them yet. Perhaps you'd like to get a look at them before we file against you. And settlements, there's lots of settlements that are reached before documentation is ever filed, because people see the draft documentation and say, no, it's not worth it to fight this. And no, we don't want to deal with discovery that will come out of deposition papers being served, meaning us having to hand over all of our emails and text messages that could be made public to show what kind of dirty bastards were being behind the scenes.
Yeah, they want to avoid discovery if they have any questionable emails, and they'll throw some of these other voice actors under the bus as sacrificial lambs. So I'd be willing to bet that once Sony gets involved and finds out exactly what people at Funimation are doing, they're going to drop the hammer on some of these guys and either fire them or tell them to knock it the hell off, because they're making them look stupid.
Ryan Walsh asks a good kind of question. I'm pretty sure his law education cost more than he stood to gain from the GoFundMe. So where's his benefit?
Yeah.
And that he wouldn't be able to, in addition, would not be able to make any money off of his education, because he very well has the possibility of getting disbarred for fucking around like that. It's so, yeah, I hear you, Ryan Walters. It doesn't make any sense. And that's what I meant when I said I find it a very interesting idea, the real world coming crashing in on the Twitterverse. They talk and they talk and they brigade and they talk, and it becomes its own universe where there's so much you can get away with. And I find it very interesting to watch as the real world comes crashing in on Fantasyland. Where it's like there's consequences to fucking around when you guys take it this goddamn far. You know?
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy, and it might set up more of a precedent if he does sue these people, that maybe some of this will calm down, at least in the animated or cartoon industry.
It hopefully it'll give, people talk about the chilling effect, right? And it's like maybe it'd be a chilling effect against brigading. My God, that would be nice. Every 2 seconds, there's a new mission to take somebody down for whatever the fuck on Twitter, social media generally. Over on Facebook, we're not mentioning Facebook. My God, they're a huge base for this kind of shit going on. In any case, like, let's leave that story there. And,
hey, that reminds me of something. Speaking of lawsuits, the Mark Waid lawsuit with Diversity in Comics suing him, that should be heating up here. They're due for some deadline for some filings soon, so we should keep an eye out for that.
The last thing I heard was that Wade's attorneys filing a lack of jurisdictional diversity meant that it shouldn't be going on in federal court, and that motion was denied. There's some other deadline coming up in March for some other paperwork. I forget what it is because I'm really tired, but yeah, coming up in the next month or two, there should be some more stuff on that, just so everybody's aware. We probably will be talking about that. So here's a story that I want to talk about because it's just good for laughs before we begin to wrap up the show. Captain Marvel doesn't have a love interest because she has something better: female friendship.
Naturally.
Okay, I haven't read this. It's just the headline was so delicious. Oh, right. This is in Forbes, guys. Forbes. Fucking Forbes. And they filed it under consumer. Like, what?
Yeah. Is this the one I sent in?
Yeah, this is the one you DM'd.
Yeah. I was so pissed off when I read this.
It's sort of thing like, stock investors need to know that even Forbes cannot escape the Disney shill media. It's good to know if you're an investor. So yeah. That also is code for sell your Disney stocks.
The Marvel's latest installment. I know we talked a lot about Captain Marvel, but I forgot I had this tab pulled up. And I mean, come on, that headline's gold. So let's just see what it's got. Marvel's latest installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Captain Marvel, Is That Enough Marvels for You?, is doing things a little bit differently. While, yes, it follows the same pattern of other MCU movies with superhero plus bad guy plus saving the world plus loose connection to all other Marvel movies, it's different in a few ways. For one, it's now the second MCU movie that's actually set in the past, making blah, blah, blah. It's also noted that it's the first Marvel movie to feature a female lead. Captain Marvel / Carl Manvers, played by Brie doesn't get along with crackers, the only cheese that doesn't, Larson. And maybe the thing to break tradition the most is that Captain Marvel / Carol has zero love interest in the movie. But that's not to say that she's not having the world for someone, saving the world for someone. Instead of giving Captain Marvel a male love interest for her and the audience to swoon over, she's got a different kind of love, and it's perfectly fitting for the film. Captain Marvel is really trying to save the world for her best friend, Maria Rambeau, played by Lashana Lynch. Why didn't you just call her Monica?
No, Monica's the daughter.
Monica's going to be her daughter. And
oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Maria's her mom.
Okay.
That's where she got the name Photon. It was Maria's call sign.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. It's absolutely not a spoiler to say that this relationship takes the place of any love interest in the film. If you don't want them to sound like lesbians, you're failing. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. as we've already seen their friendship in the released trailers. While Tony Stark and Pepper Potts and Thor has Jane Foster and Peter has Mary Jane. No,
No, it doesn't.
Peter,
He has Zendaya.
Yeah, Peter has MJ.
Zendaya.
You hack writer who somehow got a job at Forbes. You clearly just you're not a comic book person. You write consumer, like you're just yakking. Anyway. And giving her a typical male love interest in the film would have just bogged the story down. And that's not what Captain Marvel is about, because you know the inside story so well. Oh, that's right, you don't. You're just yakking. It's very much a story about how Carol only needs herself and how she needs to look inwards to save the day.
You know what I just heard? She's a strong, independent woman that don't need no man.
Absolutely.
Don't need no man.
Absolutely. So when she needs someone to rely on, it's Maria. Totally not her cat. What Carol?
You leave Lord Meowington out of this.
That's right.
What Carol and Maria have gone through together, going through the military training, being the only women, and then using each other to lean on, using each other to lean on each other.
Yeah.
Garbage chair.
No, that's a direct quote from Brie Larson. She said it.
Yeah, this is one of the greatest articles that we've read in weeks, in my opinion.
Going through military
so
training, being the only women, and then using each other to lean on each other through that type of support. Lean on each other through that type of support? And that recognition of their and that recognition of their experience is really special. Brie Larson explained during the Captain Marvel press junket in Los Angeles, speaking to no white men's except for the soy-based bearded man that we saw as she backpedaled. Quote, Of course, I think that they would have been friends outside of that experience, but I think that it's a really tight-knit bond, and Carol and Maria are family. Larson goes even further into this idea, explaining quite bluntly to the crowd that the real love of the movie is between Carol and Maria. Again, seriously, if you don't want to make them sound like lesbians, I'm just saying. Okay. Quote, that's really what we're talking about in this film. Without being too showboating about it, this is the love of the movie, she continues. This is the great love. This is the lost love. This is the love found again. This is the reason to continue fighting and go to the ends of the earth for that person. The thing that you love. For Carol, it's her best friend and her best friend's daughter, which to me, that's so natural. I went and I saw the movie with some people, and I was like an hour later, and they were like, oh, Maria's the love. And I was like, yeah.
And it was like an hour later, and they were like, oh, Maria's the love. And I was like, yeah.
Now, to be fair, if that's the way we're pitching this, they make movies about this kind of thing with guys all the time, you know?
Yeah,
where
like
it's just,
Brokeback Mountain.
well, not quite that way, but just like, you know, guys that have each other's back and support each other, like a brotherly connection. You know, we make buddy cop movies and bro movies all the time. And if they were to pitch this movie in such a way, sure. This article makes it sound like they're gay.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't want to make it sound like they're gay, you're failing. It's just you're writing it very weird. Why didn't you talk about them being comrades or sisters in arms? There's all sorts of language you could use that wouldn't make you think scissoring. Anyway,
exactly.
Out of nowhere. That's scissoring, not leaning.
Let's be fair. We were all thinking scissoring either way.
Oh, yeah.
But at least if they changed the vernacular, it would dress it up a little better into a buddy cop movie.
You know what I find funny is that I'm willing to bet that over in the Mary Sue, they're going to be talking about the strength of this non-lesbian female relationship, like in a big way, when that same garbage tier website talked the fuck out of the homosexual undertones in Venom and the homosexual undertones between Bucky and Steve Rogers in the Captain America films. Like it's gay until it doesn't serve your purpose. And then when it does serve your purpose, it's like, oh, wait a minute, they're totally not gay for each other.
Oh,
like,
they're going to be gay for each other, but they're going to be straight gay for each other.
This is so confusing because it makes no sense.
And let's see how Rachel Page finishes. Oh, she's a contributor. Okay. Without any romantically inclined male character, the film is now free to really showcase what it means to be in a loving, supportive female friendship. Just another first for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and hopefully it won't be their last. Now let's see what Rachel Page does. I am a pop culture writer and editor. No. and I love covering all things film and television. I'm an expert at binge watching. And Tan from Queer Eye. And hold on.
Tan from Queer Eye once told me like my shirt, so it assumes I have great sense of style.
Oh, there's a guy named Tan in Queer Eye? That's why it's capitalized? Okay.
Oh.
And some guy from Queer Eye once told me he liked my shirt, so I assumed that means I have a great sense of style. Forbes, son of a bitch, man. How are these people writing for you? You're supposed to be a business magazine that investors take very seriously. What the fuck? All right.
Like I said, this is something to take seriously. It means that if you have stocks in Disney, to sell them.
All right. I'm gonna sorry, this article, man. It's confusing. Like, what's it even doing in Forbes? And what's the article even doing at all? Like, it's like she got tasked with write something about Captain Marvel, and she scraped the ground underneath the barrel and came up with this.
Yeah, she could have made it into like a Cagney and Lacey sort of thing. Oh my god, you guys are all too young for that reference.
No, I got it.
No, I know who Cagney and Lacey are.
Okay.
The lesbian police detectives.
They were not lesbians.
I know. I'm just fucking.
The one chick was a giant slut.
Cagney and Lacey are what Terry Crews's character on Brooklyn Nine-Nine named his children. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's such a hardcore cop. He named his twin daughters Cagney and Lacey.
Terry Crews is awesome.
He's so fucking amazing.
Yeah, I would love to hang out with him. I bet he's hilarious.
I bet he is too. Yeah, and forthright and outspoken. It's like, come on, man, tell me some stories. What goes on in that pit of degeneracy that people outside call Hollywood? You know,
right?
I would rather have him just punch me in the face and talk about odor blocker body wash.
Faithless asked, did they hire HuffPo's layoffs out?
No. They haven't learned to code yet.
Yeah, well,
they're still learning.
You don't need to code to use a word processor, as Rachel Page here demonstrates.
Yeah,
very poorly.
So to kind of go on to a different subject, but one that's something that I want to touch before we go on to our pitches. I've had people ask me in DMs, and then people in the comments, and then sometimes in the chat live, where do I start with comics? I don't read comics, but I enjoy listening to you guys' bands and so on. And we put ourselves up here as if not, well, not experts, but at least people kind of knowledgeable about comics and the lore and stuff like that. I'm going to do something here that I didn't think I was going to find myself in the position to do, but whatever the fuck. I thought I knew a lot about a given comic book character that I really liked. And in collecting a whole bunch of the issues and the volumes, because the restarts at number 1, and whenever they restart number 1, they start a new volume, I thought I had a pretty good handle on the character. I totally don't. Moon Knight. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Moon Knight, man. When I started reading volume 4, I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this comic? So I better go back to 3. And I start reading volume 3 from the beginning, and I'm like, the fuck's going on in here? Jack, I was telling you about this, right? This is what's happened. So what I'm going to do is, like, previously I had done Frank Miller month for an entire month on Comic Book Curation Live, and Inquisitor had done an entire month on the homosexual hentai that he's really into. And I'm going to do an entire, I don't know if I'm going to be able to wrap it up in a month, but we're going to revisit. You there, Quiz?
Yeah, you're talking about,
I expected some kind of protest, but all right, moving on.
You're sitting there talking about, me like an homosexual. Who's the guy with the gimp suit on his screen right now?
He's in a crazy house. The man has a
great jacket.
Yeah,
sure.
So.
Is that what he tells you when he comes out of his cage and fucks you?
I do not kink shame you for your love of homoeroticism. You leave this guy alone. He's not kinking. He's just in a mental asylum. So anyway.
And if you'd like to help me out, here's my Streamlabs, because we're just devolving at this point. Might as well shill a little bit.
It's like, fuck it.
No, we're not devolving. My point is that I am going to read the entirety of Moon Knight, because I want to know what's going on with this character that I thought I did know what was going on with them. And as a moment of public honesty, I have no fucking clue, y'all. This character has been written. I thought I knew what Jeff Lemire, the guy who wrote this run of Moon Knight, was up to and doing, and I have a couple of spotty issues here and there. Moon Knight apparently is not a comic you can just buy issues of here and there and know what the fuck's going on. So I'm going to read it over, and as I find out, I'm going to quickly synopsis style share what the fuck's happening with Mark Spector. If Moon Knight is even Mark Spector, because apparently that's all a delusion he's been having, but we'll find out together. So that's what I'm gonna do.
I think we're all just gonna be left confused and annoyed.
No.
80s stuff was better.
Well, I thought about going all the way back to the introduction of Moon Knight, but no, I'm not going to reread Moon Knight Volume 2, which is what I was reading as a kid and buying back issues of, because that's a really straightforward version of Moon Knight. He is who he is. He was left for dead in Egypt as mercenary Mark Spector, and the Egyptian god Khonshu re-empowered him, reinvigorated him, healed him, and set him on the path of being his Fist of Vengeance, hence his nickname, the Fist of Khonshu, to, what's the right word? Redeem himself from all of his acts that he had done as a ruthless mercenary. So now he's going to be out there fighting crime and injustice and so forth. I've always thought Moon Knight is super cool, and I've always thought it was kind of dismissing the character unfairly to describe him as Marvel's Batman in white. No, the character I think is a lot more interesting than that, and he's not really the same guy as Bruce Wayne is as Batman at all. So anyway, I'm going to find out what the fuck's been going on with Moon Knight, and we'll see what's going on.
Well, you want me to ruin Moon Knight for you?
No, I don't. What are you doing? No.
Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again. Oh man, he is nothing but a social justice mouthpiece.
Moon Knight?
It's glorious, yeah.
Don't ruin anything for him, dude.
Yeah,
Let
like I
him
said,
suffer.
I've got a pile of comics to read, man. Why are you gonna? So in any case, that's what I'm going to be up to, and we'll see what's happening. Now we're moving on into pitches. So who would like to go first? Jack, quiz, or birthday girl, perhaps?
Not me.
Not the birthday girl. Okay.
I will go first because mine is fairly straightforward and simple.
So's mine. Yeah.
I want to pitch to you, picture, if you will, that there is a female version of Wolverine.
But is not sex backwards.
No. Then doesn't sit around eating food either. Instead, I want you to go all the way back in time to 1993 and Wolverbroad. This is Spoof Comics number 3 from 1993. They actually did a couple of really fun parodies that are going to sound sadly familiar to you. The first issue was Spider Femme.
She even has only 2 claws.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is where they got the idea from for X23, because it's shockingly familiar. But
why haven't I heard of this before now? This is incredible.
Because this is incredibly small press. This was in the 90s. Like 93 was a big year for comics. There were a lot of companies. These guys put out a couple of books, and Wolverbroad was issue 3, because you had Bat Babe was issue 2, and Spider Femme was issue 1. Spider Femme, a little bit reminder of Spider Gwen. I don't have any pictures because I didn't have time to put everything together, but this will give you the idea. I scanned one page. Look, here's Jubilee. There's Psylocke. There's Gambit, Cyclops, and I forget who that is. I think that's supposed to be
they're all
Storm.
gender swapped. All right.
Oh, of course. But it's a fun little parody. It plays it fairly straight. It's just a fun little goof that they did. But there was a follow-up called Wolverbroad versus Hobo. Get it? Lobo?
I can get behind this.
I know, right? It's ironic that even the joke comics of the 90s, the women are drawn like women. And saucy. But I have both these issues. Eventually, I'll probably review them. But I wanted to point out how much fun stuff was in previous eras, and you couldn't do this now. because they take this all deadly seriously. But I'm 99% sure that somebody at Marvel found a copy of Wolverbroad and turned it into X-23 with smaller cleavage.
Well, from all of the stories I've heard about from EVS, it sounds like he might have been the one.
Well, maybe. But if he did, it wouldn't surprise me if he knew about this book.
Yeah. Because
these were, in bigger comic shops, because, it's a very, very small press. But it does have the ISBN number down here. So, yeah, it's cover artist was Jim Ballant. Script was Mike Helblieb. The penciler Dominic Carolla and Nick Napolitano. Inker Mike Smith.
Napolitano, really?
Hmm?
Nick Napolitano?
Yeah, I don't know who Nick Napolitano is, but I've heard the name before. So yeah, it's from February '93. But the art is actually pretty good in it. I'm obviously just showing you a very small amount here because I didn't have time to censor everything, so I just shown one page. Mm-hmm. But it's actually not that bad of a story. It's pretty fun. It sticks to the Wolverine theme, just gender swaps people, and it pokes fun at the X-Men. But Wolverbroad, it's the better version of X-23 with more curves. So that's my pitch. And if you get a chance to pick these up, they usually go for about $5 a piece, maybe a little more. And she appears in these 2 issues, and that's really it, I think. So this is an issue 1. It's a one-shot. And this is issue 3 of Spoof Comics. It's not actually a Wolverbroad title. It's Spoof Comics number 3 with Wolverbroad. So that's my pitch.
Well, that was unexpected.
I like to keep you guessing.
That looks like a lot of fun, honestly.
Well, it's funny. Hobo actually got her own comic. So, just saying.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So, particular quiz? What do you got for us?
All right. My pitch is written by Pornsak Pitchashot, something like that. Pencilers, there's 4 different pencilers in this one. Marco Castello, Ig Guara, Vincino Aguncio, and Rai Jose. My pitch is actually a story within a story. Back in what was it? The mid to late 2000s, they had this event happening at DC where the Flash went back in time and prevented his mother's murder. And then when he goes back forward in time, everything is fucked up in some way. Of course, I'm talking about Flashpoint. Well, my pitch is Green Arrow Industries Flashpoint. It's essentially the story of Oliver Queen was never marooned on an island. Instead, he inherited Queen Industries and turned them into a weapons manufacturer. And one of the things that he did when he became, a weapons manufacturer is all of the supervillains that had some sort of, advanced technology or any sort of metahuman abilities. They found a way to reverse engineer, replicate, and outfit soldiers with these superpowers. It goes into this the whole ethics behind weapons manufacture. All of the he's actually outfitting these soldiers with it and acting as mercenaries and NATO peacekeepers. This is also happening during a huge war that's going on. Oh shit! Am I not? I was presenting Jack. God damn it! That was happening between Atlantis and Themyscira. But yeah, the Green Arrows would be, you know, worldwide peacekeepers, and everything goes to shit after they start talking about um, the ethics involved with what they're doing when the facility that Oliver was showing his investors gets raided, and several of his soldiers end up dead. And the culprit turns out to be the daughter of Mari. Oh God, what was her last name? Vixen, essentially. And it was because Oliver had slept with Vixen, and it was his daughter, and she was running around killing all of his soldiers and trying to bring down his empire. You can see right here, Oliver's using the Tops grenades. He's got the heat gun from Heatwave. He's got anti-gravity boots. He's got all these supervillain tips and tricks and technology. In my opinion, it was one of the better side bits of Flashpoint. So
nice. I mean, of course, I've read Flashpoint Paradox, but I don't know. You're the Green Arrow fan. I didn't realize that there was a whole bunch of side stories that ran out of it. But then, major events always have crossover events. I guess I should have thought about that.
Mm-hmm. The other really good one is there's two more that I could pitch, but I don't have ready at hand. One of them goes all about Deathstroke and his band of pirates.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is, of course, Thomas and Martha Wayne. And that whole thing starts off with Martha Wayne as the Joker kidnapping Judge Harvey Dent's twin children.
Jesus.
Yeah.
No love for Canterbury Cricket, man.
Yeah. It's great. I fucking loved everything about Flashpoint. It was great. Hands down one of the most creative, in my opinion, DC crossover events.
But there's you know what you can say for Flashpoint is that it's a major comic book event in the way that events used to be and should still be. Do you know what I mean? Like, as opposed to just like, I don't know, to go back to Secret Wars and stuff like and to do Civil War 2 and the list goes on. Fake made up hype trains that are being passed off as major events. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like Flashpoint Paradox is like a well thought out, really long story arc that's going to happen and affect this character in this way and this character in this way, as opposed to like, I don't know, House of M stuff that didn't really seem very well thought out.
No, it didn't.
Anyway, that's just my opinion. Well, so would you like to go now, Eve, or would you like me to go first?
I think I'm finally got something pulled up that I can
all
send.
right.
Why can't I? Oh, that's why I can't. Hang on. Do that thing real quick. Okay. So my comic pitch, if I can get all these windows minimized, is something I may have pitched this one before. I don't think I did. If not, I have a backup. If I have. So if you realize halfway through that I pitched this before, tell me. Author is Tom Seeley. The illustrator is Emilio Bondoc. And my pitch is Deadpool versus Thanos. I found this particular comic very interesting because despite being pitched as Deadpool versus Thanos, the entire time they're I'll say most of the time they're actually working together. It starts out with them going against each other for one reason or another, and they discover independently that everyone in the universe has stopped dying, and for someone in Deadpool's line of work, that's no good because Well, he's an assassin, and for someone like Thanos, who also thrives off of death and wants to please death itself more than anything, that's also not good. So they end up teaming up to try to figure out exactly what caused it, and just the hilarity you would expect ensues. Like, it opens with right here, Thanos basically maiming Deadpool and quote killing him because up until this point in the comics, Deadpool had been immortal. He couldn't die, but he wasn't sure why, and it was because Thanos had cursed him to not be able to die because he didn't want him getting close to death because death has a thing for Deadpool. So, but he's finally like, you know what? I had enough. I'm going to smash you into paste, and that's the beginning of the comic. That's the first like 2 pages right there, and so it only gets crazier from there. They end up fighting all sorts of heroes and villains that get in their way, both teaming up, and it comes to a very interesting conclusion. I don't want to ruin it for you if anybody wants to go read it who hasn't already, but it's
no, you never ruin the story during a pitch. You're getting people excited, not telling them what happened, right?
yeah, that's I'm winding you up a little bit. Go check it out, and because it's I don't I'm not as in depth with the rest of you guys. It's like how the art style looks and how it compares to previous iterations. I always found Deadpool entertaining as a hilarious character, and Thanos makes the perfect straight man. So I think it works pretty well.
Nice.
You should read Deadpool versus Gambit. That one's really good.
I think that could be next on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually already read that comic, and yeah, it's a great pitch. I really enjoyed it. It was a bunch of really good laughs in it. Let me see. Okay, my pitch. I was originally told about this comic, or actually graphic novel by Inquisitor. I got really excited because I had never heard that it was a thing. And then I got it, and I didn't get around to reading it forever. And when I finally did, I was blown the fuck away. So I'm absolutely going to pitch it as best I can without spoiling as most as I cannot. Fight Club 2. It is outstanding. If you were a fan of the film, Fight Club, obviously, or the book by Chuck Palahniuk, I cannot recommend this enough. Because Palahniuk. Palahniuk. I don't know. It seems like you're dropping a couple of syllables there, but okay, Palahniuk. I don't care. If you're a fan of the movie or the book, yeah, I can't recommend Fight Club 2 enough to you. Fight Club itself, you often hear it described as speaking to men, especially young men and young frustrated men, in a very particular way and hitting very particular notes that appeals. This graphic novel, my God, does it do the same thing? He's very good at the author is very good at nailing those particular psychological points and pushing them. The subline of it is some imaginary friends never go away. What a brilliant line for the way that it works. And the opening page with a couple of pills there is so instructive. The story begins, and jump through here, as the movie ends. What happens? Well, Marla Singer calls him. There he is at the top of the building. It's about to blow up. And what ends up happening? And remember the penguin in his safe space slide, for those of you who remember. And there he is going to the self-help groups where he met Marla Singer and the kind of relationship that they got into and so forth. It plays itself out, but eventually what ends up happening is what happens at the end of the movie that everybody knows. Marla and him get married in this story, and they have a kid together. So what happens to Sebastian, as he's now known? The narrator is never given a name in the original book nor in the film. But in this, he's known as Sebastian. Is that his real name? Well, I won't spoil it for you. But that's what he goes by. And he's a married, middle-aged, partly balding man now. But he's kind of the same guy underneath it he's always been, except extremely medicated to kind of keep him at bay. There the poor bastard is, living the suburban life, going and buying flowers on anniversaries. He traded it all away for what? His shields and arrows against the slings of everyday life. He calls himself happy. It's just classic Chuck writing. It is so good and hits you in such a way. And the pills as they fall on every page, because this is the heavy, wet blanket that is on top of him everywhere he goes. So they kind of graphically represent it as a metaphor. But the craziness that this guy finds himself in, he goes home and his babysitter, not expecting him there that early, pulls a knife on him. I'm just a babysitter. Yes, a crazed man just burst through the front door. Nothing could go well for this poor bastard. There's their son. And the shit that this guy ends up going through. Marla, of course, being crazy, but not in need of the medication that he's in, continues to go to the self-help groups. Here she is going to a self-help group for people suffering from progeria, where she's obviously going to fit in with them.
Yeah.
And she starts talking about how horrible her life is with this guy. Interestingly, though, the cult around Tyler Durden has never died. Everywhere he goes, painted on the walls, rise or die, Tyler Durden lives, etc. The easiest way to explain what happens without spoiling anything is Marla can't stand living with this guy anymore. She was never a happy person. She was never sort of meant to be happy. She starts replacing the medication and his pills with sugar because she wants Tyler back, not to be married to Sebastian anymore. So while he thinks he's medicating himself, he isn't. And Tyler makes a return. But the questions become, when you're a young man in your middle 20s and you're suffering with having to work in a soul-crushing office environment and your chaotic personality breaks loose. In the movie Fight Club and in the book Fight Club, you see what happens. Well, what happens when a middle-aged balding man who's medicated himself into oblivion suddenly becomes clear and Tyler emerges? What happens to that guy? And that's the story of Fight Club 2. What does rebellion for a middle-aged man look like? And Chuck handles it so well, and it hits so many deep psychological points that I think people are going to find really interesting. It's a hell of a ride, this graphic novel, and it is so completely worth your time. So that's my pitch.
Oh yeah. So I have it in hardback.
Yeah, I have it in hardback.
Ironically speaking, I don't have the novel in hardback. Though. I just have the fucking paperback of that one.
So there is one story that I wanted to touch on really, really quick, and it's not even really a story. It's just my own wishes, really. Look, I couldn't help but look into it. I had to know, is Mark Ruffalo fired or not? Okay. All the ostensible signs are, yes, the man's fired. Maybe the Russo brothers were kidding when they reiterated and quadrupled down that, like, come on, what do you want from us? We were fired. People are interpreting it as tongue-in-cheek that no, he's not really fired. It's just that he's not going to be in any more movies because, you know, he's going to die in Infinity War, maybe, Infinity War Endgame, maybe, or whatever the fuck. I choose to believe he's fired. I looked into it. The Russos backed me up. You guys can read into whatever you want, but I'm going to continue under the very comfortable understanding that they fired his ass publicly. So there it is.
Well, you know what this means now, Polly. We have to work this into the title somehow.
It's like, no, really, Ruffalo's really fired.
Oh, wait. Did Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez redistribute the superhero wealth?
Yes, she did.
Oh, shit.
So there it is. Does anybody have any final thoughts? My final thought, of course, is, yeah, Ruffalo was fired. And if turns out he wasn't, he goddamn well should have been. And anyone else?
Never trust a panda.
His name was Robert Paulson.
And birthday girl, any thoughts?
Fuck bitches get money.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
There it is. All right. Chat, thanks
Oh.
for joining us through this stream. I apologize again for being medicated, but again, I accept no responsibility for what I said because, what's it called? Not meth.
Pseudoephedrine?
Yeah,
we'll just
pseudoephedrine
go with
hydro.
meth. Meth
Yes,
is
Yeah,
fine.
no
no,
meth. Just
it's
go with
not
meth.
meth. I didn't smoke
Hey guys,
fucking meth.
everybody go over to Monkey's channel and tell Monkey that Polly's doing meth now.
And he moved to Florida.
And he moved to Florida.
No, it's pseudoephedrine hydrochloride is a hell of a fucking drug. They give it to people for colds. I take it for an ear infection causing constant vertigo, but it's left me space. What can I tell you? In any case, by all means, please like, and if you haven't subscribed already, we would love to have you. If you have any comments listening in the future, I do get a chance to read every single comment and respond to damn near most of them. So I love hearing the feedback. If not, you can hit me up on Twitter or any of the others here. All their Twitter handles are in the description. And that is all until next week. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.